Hey guys, welcome to the close. 2 o'clock, that means a couple hours left in what has been a crazy week overall, but a pretty quiet Friday afternoon. Just watching both PHUN and DWAC doing DWAC things on a Friday afternoon as well. Here's a look at the overall market. Yes, we are positive. It is 0.6 for the S&P right now, 0.59 to be exact for the S&P right now. Tech stocks leading the way overall, software names in pretty good shape here. C-Day up 7%, NortonLifeLock about 5%, Payc as well. Hardware equipment makers, semiconductors, they're all in positive territory, having a pretty good end of the week. We were just discussing over lunch there, NVIDIA 5%, but look at Micron's red, AMD's just now going positive. So a few laggards in the semi group we'll have a look at throughout the afternoon here. There's Moderna, 4%. They filed for a new dose for vaccine. What am I trying to say? A new booster is the word I was looking for in the U.S. There we go. ALGN, DXCM, IDXX, all in positive territory. The equipment maker is doing pretty well to wrap up the weeks. FedEx reported, yeah, it's not good. Downside, 5%. Airlines are strong to wrap up. DE's here. Boeing as well here in positive territory. I want to mention this one, Match.com, having quite the day, 5.8%. And Twitter beside that. We were talking about some strength in social media stocks. If you joined us during the morning show, let's look at the very positive NASDAQ right now. It is the NASDAQ leading the way. Some of the smaller utility names offsetting, but overall, continued strength here for Chinese names. PDD's up 12.5%. JD.com's up 7%. Airbnb having a nice day, 5%. Lucid we mentioned. Tesla we mentioned this morning. Whole bunch of software names to deal with, as I said, to start things off this afternoon. Hope everyone is having an enjoyable Friday afternoon and a profitable Friday afternoon as we wrap up a pretty good week here for the overall market. Looks like it is going to be a positive day. Hope I didn't just jinx it, but we'll see. 0.6 right now for the S&P, as I said. Again, tech stocks leading the way. As we do every day, we're going to take a look back at what we were talking about in the pre-market this morning. We'll go over some of the ideas we had going into the open this morning, see how they panned out. A lot of big movers. I mean, I was just looking at the chart of GameStop again, right back to session highs here off of that report. Pretty impressive move for GME. We'll talk a little bit about Tesla as well, having a really impressive day back in positive territory. But without further ado, Sean's going to kick us off here with a look at one of his trades from this morning.
Hey, what's up, family? Yeah, this is going to be your trade of the day. And yeah, we're not going to use any of those shorts that we had. We had short Rivian today. We had short Affirm, and they'll blew up. We're short again. Hopefully those will come back in. But I've called this up here, and you don't normally see me do this, but this is what a level 2 looks like. And today we're looking at NIO. And why? NIO today up that 10%. Big time movement in a lot of the Chinese names. And it's a carry forward. It's a carry forward from all week. We got some great listing news on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, carried forward yesterday. Big move up for BABA and NIO, both up like 20, 30, 40, 50%. Didi today was up 60% at one point. And this is what it looks like on a level 2 side of things. So you get the bid and you get the ask. And I wanted to point this out. We just crossed the 100 million share mark. So we always talk about trading names that have liquidity and have movement, right? Obviously with NIO today, well traded and lots of movement. So, we learned from our mistakes. This one was actually traded pretty good. And the reason why this is going to be the trade of the day is because it had a complete mind switch for me, right? Once we realized that the short wasn't going to be in, we flipped over to the long. So let's talk about this quickly. Here's the move. This is 9:30, so it starts early. And today we started the show by saying, want to wait a couple minutes at least to see the direction pull on some of these names, right? After a 20, 30, 40% move in the last couple days on these Chinese names, I was really only looking short to begin with. So here it comes. Boom, first move. We short in front of this 2050. Look where we start from. We come all the way from 1850 and just motor to the upside. Only a few stopping spots here, right? At 20. That's before 20. That's this line right here, 2010, right? That's 20. So we stop around there. Then we take off. And then these are just shots in the dark. NEO could continue to go. There was really nothing on a daily chart or a 20-minute chart or anything like that. So just a bunch of shorts in here, and then here's the cash all the way down. Short, 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 short. But then we had some trouble again, right at the same level, that $20 mark. We're able to cash some out, so it's a win. And we're pretty happy with it, where we like the way this is trading. But then look, all the way to the upside. We short again. We short again. This is still into 2050. But look, it's too strong. It comes back down. We're like, we should took some out at VWAP. No, we don't. Then we get some out at the 50 period. Then once it takes out this 2050, it hadn't done that yet. Forget about that wick. Once it takes it out, look what we do. This is the out of our short and flip long. So that's why you start seeing some of these red ticks. Those are us getting out of our long position. So we go from short to flipping the break of the high of the day. Once that happens, we flip it. And that was about noon. Flip it to the longs. Now we're long at 2060 or so. Out some 80s, out 2120 there. And we still have a piece of NEO on board right now. I chose this for the trade of the day. Why? Because we just noticed too much strength. Take the short when it's there. It's a nice move up. Take the short. But then once it breaks this level, which is why I put this line there, that's 2050. Once it takes out the day's high, I don't care what time of day it is. Look at the volume. The volume stayed strong. Not only that, the volume actually picks up as we break through the high of the day. So it's your trade of the day, and it's going from short to long, and we still have a piece of this NEO. Go ahead, Brendan.
Great strength in all of the Chinese stocks once again. We'll talk about Didi here as well, up 50% for Didi. Crazy move. That's the link to the watch list, guys. We send it out every single morning in the pre-market before we come on at 8:30 for free, if you haven't heard. Absolutely free. Everything you need to know is on that as we head towards the open every day. And then you join us at 8:30 and we get you ready for the open at 9:30. So here is DWAC. Going crazy still on huge volume. Now up approaching 5% on the day for DWAC. A lot of people circulating this. Apparently over the weekend there's going to be a live stream on Truth Social. Trump is actually going to be live streaming on Truth Social. And then there's also this report of Fox Business News appearance for Mr. Trump coming up on Monday. So heads up on that. That is TweetDeck, if anyone has never seen TweetDeck before. DWAC, guys, crazy move here on Friday.
I'm going to hit a key for it. Oh, I should have hit the Brendan goat. So sometimes I actually do go long, but the problem with DWAC is I never hold it, or at least never hold it long enough. And this time I didn't bother zooming out. So the news came out and we're watching, we sit next to the midday show. So when I hear DWAC going crazy and Brendan puts it in the chat and Prad's talking about it, it had already made this move. And then it pulls back to 69, which, I mean, oddly enough, it's just an even dollar. It just happened to be that price. Consolidates. It's sort of the reverse, like news spike like this in the squeeze play. And if you can catch I always say, if you can catch the first consolidation, that's a trade. I'd never go long. I don't go long in the second one. And then I played it to the first high. And then when it tried to break broke 70, someone showed up at 70.50. I just got it all out. What I should have done while all that was going on was zoom it out. Go to the 15-minute chart, because look at where you're breaking out from here. Noticing you're taking out that 69 channel, because now it looks dumb, right? Like if I zoom in and show you taking out that 69 level, you'd say, well, there's easily room to 72.50 to 73. Duh. Yeah, obviously. So that's come and gone at this point. Who knows what's going to happen with this story? But it's hard to do with Snap News because it just comes out, you're executing the trade quickly, and sometimes you don't take that quick second to go back, zoom out. Is there a level of resistance that you should be targeting for instead of the quick scalp trade? And that was it right here, like 72.5. I'm not going to short this one because I've fallen into that trap before when DWAC has crazy news. If it gets to $80, we can talk about it. But either way, nice run for this for all those that have been holding out. Good consolidation, sweet break. It just hit resistance and a little bit of a pullback. I guess DWAC is in play again.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's whether or not, like you mentioned, like, is he allowed to say that kind of stuff? And I mean, no, and I don't know either. But I mean, I say yes. I mean, he's not a director or anything. I don't think, anyways, of DWAC. But I think you're right. I mean, what about CFVI? Like, are any of these other names moving around? I mean, I always think that you never want to be short DWAC. I mean, we already saw people got blown out of the water there when it went up to 180 or whatever it was, from $10 to 180 that first day, which was absolutely insane. So that we know there's some love there. And then look at CFVI. I think CFVI is actually, you know, again, if they're going to be the media streamer or something like that for that site, and they're kind of thinking like it's going to be a conservative YouTube, or I don't know exactly what's been in here, and maybe that's the problem with CFVI, but this has been a great bottom here for 11 bucks, and now you're starting to go up. So for me, if you want to take a shot on something, and maybe you don't want to put in, you know, $70 a share, you have a chance to lose half your money. CFVI, as far as I know, is still a SPAC. So you have a $10 bottom. You can get your money back. Every SPAC goes in at 10, right? Here it is right here, chilling at 970. And then the announcement's made. This thing goes to 15 and tests 18. For me, the money to be made is in CFVI, not DWAC. You know, and just from a percentage gain, like if CFVI goes from 12 to 16 on Monday, I actually wouldn't even be that surprised. And that's a nice return. Is DWAC going from 70 to 100 or whatever it would have to be equal? I don't know. So I like CFVI in this spot, and that's going to be Rumble. So look it up, do your due diligence. I have not. But, you know, just in talking about these names, I'm always more comfortable trading something that's much more near its fair value. It's only 20% up. You can, a SPAC, you're supposed to be able to get 10 bucks if they close it. That's the value of the SPAC. That's the money that's been put in. So you should be able to get it. I like CFVI for a risk to reward.
There's an agreement obviously in place between the two, right? CFVI or Rumble going to be the preferred video platform, or I guess is at this point, if it's a thing. Anyways, PHUN, the other one that we should mention here, 4% volume coming in on this one as well for funware. So the fun never ends for these ones. Let's talk about GME because what a reversal from what we saw in the pre-market. I mean, it was down about 8% in the pre-market, so not a monster, you know, decline, but the market opens and GameStop, guys, just goes straight up.
Well, duh.
Oh, it definitely went straight up. And the one thing we always say about these things, we don't have a GameStop one. We have an AMC one. We don't have a GameStop. We just have
a generic ape one. Does it actually show AMC? I mean,
yeah,
I know let's have a see here. I know there's pop. Oh, yeah, it has the AMC.
It's an AMC one.
Yeah, it has the AMC.
Which is weird because GameStop was the original, I guess. But Volkswagen was the original, but GameStop as well. No, today I came in and I said 77.50. And it's a weird thing to, I was like, I only want short at 77.50. And then I said that or $90. So half of that was at least okay because I did short 90. But then it came to this 85. And I decided to take the 85, 84.70. There's the stop out. Now keep in mind here, if I thought that it wasn't necessarily short till 90 bucks here, there was a chance when I saw this curl at 85 that could have been a reversal to a long trade. I didn't do it. And then you're going to see smacked into this short trade is an accidental long, which was a complete bungle, where I'm just paying off the spread like twice here by misstepping a stop order. And then on top of that, I'm going to end up finally making it, well, should have made something back, by getting this top right in front of $93 and then keystroking out of it for a grand total of a 30-cent win. That could have turned me close to green in the stock, but it didn't because I bungled it. And then I just walked away from it. At that point, I'd made successive keystroke errors on the stock and it was moving pretty quick. I said, forget it. There's things that are making more sense. BEKE was making a little bit more sense. Moved to that. Mullen was making more sense. I moved over to that. And I haven't touched it ever since. And GameStop, the report overall wasn't good, but obviously the fundamentals don't really matter a ton here. And if you look at this, similar to, and the reason I like 90 was just right here, right? Like look what happened the last time it was at that 90 level. But if you, similar to DWAC, when it got through this level, sort of the obvious thing was to look at where it got to the last time, right? Like that's the reason I was, for a brief second, able to even get that top that I bungled out of. And it was just that 92, 93-ish area, and that it ran away from to begin the week, right? So when these things make a breakout on the higher time frame, the first step is if you're short, cover it, which is fine. But the next step is sometimes it can be a reversal trade. Like Sean showed you the reversal in NEO. You know, yesterday, I had 4 trades on Mullen, 2 short where 2 were long, but both the longs came off a reversal in a key level, and that's sort of the same thing that happened here when we got through that 90 level on GameStop. Like you can see what clearly should be the next resistance level, 94, 95, and there's a scalp trade there. And I get it, you're buying the top, but you know what? There is a trade when you're buying a top like that if you think it's gone too far, and that is just getting quickly in and out from one level to the next. Now, I don't know if there's going to be another trade in here. You can kind of see a consolidation. Maybe a 95 to 100 break is going to be in play. But you've got to be able to sometimes reverse these. It's one of the things I wanted to do better this year, is if it's a really, really good level, then it's not just about shorting in front of it. It can also be about making that reversal trade and taking that long. GameStop off to the races. AMC had a bit of a sympathy move, but that kind of stalled out. It's GME that was the real runner.
Yeah, we're just getting back into a short here on AMD. The market is like, this AMD has been wild, man. Like, we were short up here at the top, not at the top, but we were short at one point there, AMD, and look at this, just tanked to the downside. And then, I don't know, people were talking about manipulation and stuff, but I mean, probably. But you can see it ticks down to that low there, and I was like, why did I not have a bid there? I don't know, but anyways, that came right back in. So the short on AMD that we've been building right now is about to get busted. A break through this 113.20 and we're gone. So let's see if that happens on AMD, but it's come back in. We've averaged in and then took double the profit there, and then now we're back in one last time here. Let's see if it continues to go. The NASDAQ started to make a move down, but now we just crossed it back above the 50 period. So wow, like you're up now 300 NASDAQ points from that 14,000 bottom that was made. Like, what a run. And I can't believe, like, I haven't even made more money. Like, when I was calling this long last week into Fed, no idea that the NASDAQ was going to do this. Just straight to the upside, man. The last couple days has been a monster for the NASDAQ. Like, you're going from 315 here on the Qs all the way to 350. Like, it's a monster move. That's like 20% almost. That's, what is it? That's 35 on 31. So yeah, you're on 315. So, you know, you're making that move up 12, 13% up there. It's an absolute monster. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 days, man. You're getting about like 15% in the NASDAQ. It's an absolute beastie move. So we'll continue to look short, especially on a name like AMD that is now doing better. It was weaker all day. We had thought that it could, you know, really blow up there. But now that the NASDAQ's retracing, it looks like AMD's trying to pick it up 1.25 versus 146. So it's actually not relatively weak to the market. So we may have to change up our playbook here on AMD.
Just noticing, guys, our friend Rob Stracklin found the heat option on the thermostat in the studio. So it's actually nice and toasty warm in here today for a change. Not a name that we look at typically, but one that provided a great move this morning was StoneCo, STNE, fintech name, reporting. Surprise report. It was better than expected, was up aftermarket and in the pre-market. So STNE was on the list today.
Wrong, Brendan. Rob didn't find the heat. It's the movement in the market that is firing things up in the studio. I had a sweater on this morning. He's not lying, man. Like I got the short sleeves on.
It's like 40 degrees now, like Celsius.
Like, so if you guys are just tuning in for the show, like, don't get me wrong. I love it. We put a lot in the studio and it's great. But it is either too warm or too cold. You'll either see me in a sweater or just.
I mean, Prada had his winter jacket on.
He had a winter jacket on the other day.
And now it's like 40 degrees in here.
But in all seriousness, look, this is just another name, StoneCo. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that it was a gangbusters report or anything like that. And the short interest is really only about 7% on StoneCo. It's another Cathie Wood name. It was on our watch list this morning. I thought it had gone too far, and I was sort of looking at, and I'll zoom in, it's easier to see if I zoom in a little bit on the daily chart because putting things into perspective. I simply said, this is the channel I want to work with. Like the last time it put a big failure in, this was about 13 to 13, 30, 13, 15 or so, when it started to really fail. And then the top of that channel was about $14. So first leg would be, around that 13 to 13.5, sort of sitting in the middle, and then 14 even. And the first of those trades, like, immediately didn't work. I got into 13 short. It tried to consolidate for a while, eventually took me out when it took out the 50. I didn't re-enter the trade until later in the afternoon when it got to that 14 level, or close enough to it. Like, usually I like it hitting that 14 even, but it made a test here at 1380. It then tested again here at 1390. I'm like, okay, it consolidates a little bit lower. So I just got into the short there at 81. It then tested, still couldn't get to 14, so there was no add up here, which I would have. I got one out at 1-to-1 at 60s, and I'm still waiting to see if we can get, like 45 to 50 out, and then down into VWAP. So, the first shot on StoneCo did not work. And again, I'm sort of going back to that same well, right? Like that first level, that 13, when I look back at it now, and once we get that stop out, there's probably, given the way the market was moving, right? When it came back to that level, it probably should have been a long. Right? If you're starting to think about the flip, like if it was a good level to you and set up for something and it got flipped, well, support turns into resistance when broken, when it's a good level. And the way that it churned through, because it really did try to battle here, if you're watching at the open, it seems like it didn't hang out here a long time. But in 9:35 time, that was a while that there was battling that 13. So when it came back, that could have been a long. That's come and gone. We'll see if we can get some of it back here on StoneCo, but 42%. Wow, just keep in mind where this has come from, right? Like it's actually a drop in the bucket, this move to the upside.
I just turned it back on. For some reason, my earpiece just turned back on. So maybe we're fine for it. So just letting the guys know that I can hear throws now, maybe. So all good. But apparently, Brendan's got the hookups. We're going to get some Sony earpieces.
Believe it when I see it.
So yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. We'll believe it. Prad, this is not your show, bro. Yeah, so
who said you get one?
Yeah. Wow. Neil just says, who says Prad gets one? Okay, StoneCo, let's go to that one. I just have to turned back on now. All good. I'm just messaging Rob that. Okay. All right. So right now, StoneCo. So we actually traded this one quite well. The problem is we don't have anything left on board because we did take that out at 13, our last piece. We said we reloaded it right there. We took a nice win on the 13 long, up to 13.26, up to 13.29, but then it breaks back down below 13, and we wind up getting out of our last piece as it now is hitting, a couple minutes ago, hitting the day's high. We started the day short, into 13. It's just a monster move up. Obviously, one of those Cathy Wood names. It's a fintech name. We've seen PaySafe and a lot of these other names go nuts also on earnings. So again, not super surprised that this is what happened. It's been a beat down name. This is what the daily looks like. I can't make this up. This was $100. And then it went down to 8.6. Was it 6 was the bottom? Yeah, 8, sorry. So $100 all the way down to $8. So it goes down 92%. And then now today, this is what I mean. Wow, you're getting 42% back. So, hey, if you're long at 100, at least you made back half your money today, right? No, so up 42% to this number. So I was thinking, hey, this is a short, up as high as it was. And that's what we did. And we were short into 13. Once 13 broke, though, we got out. So that was another key thing for me. Once 13 broke, we got out and reversed the long, and then that's where we started cashing in. StoneCo is a positive name for me. We went in, we reloaded at VWAP, and that's what that is. For me, they're really just one and done trades, so short, out, reverse to the long, and that's that. So I guess that's 2 trades, but that's the idea that we had there with StoneCo, and it worked. It just, unfortunately, that little dip right into here that broke through 13 is what got us out of our last third. So we reloaded it, positive, and then dumped the last third before straight to the upside. And right now it's respecting that 50 period a little bit, trying to bounce off of 1380. I think we go lower from here, but hey, the market has to cooperate. And today, honestly, I was short of firm, and that didn't work. I'm still short of firm, and actually now it's working to the downside of firm off of a few different reloads here. But we'll talk about this as we go. STNE, StoneCo, a nice name to trade.
As the market rallies, guys, some of the resource names that have benefited over the past couple of weeks coming back to earth. We talked about X in the pre-market here, coming off steel name, obviously, but X reports. We're back to session lows. Same thoughts, I guess, going into the afternoon here on U.S. steel.
Talk about my frustrating stock today. So anyways, I'll have to pick something else because it's U.S. steel for me. This morning and the other day, Nucor revised their earnings and guided poorly, and they were down 1.5%. I was like, why is U.S. steel up 1.5% when Nucor did that? It's not a good time of the year usually for steel. Steel prices have come off 30% since the beginning of the year or something along those lines. So the fact that their guidance wasn't good, probably not too big of a surprise. And I liked it to the short side. Oh, hold on a second. I just got DWAC breaking 72.50 on that breakout. So we'll see if it can't get to the upside 73. Going to be a scalp trade there. But if it doesn't go right away, then I really don't want it because it's a breakout style trade. So I'm going to get my stop order in case it can't go. U.S. steel. It should have been just absolutely gangbusters. It gave you that pop and fade trade off the open. I was talking about how it was a head and shoulders. If you're into that sort of thing, that didn't even really matter that much to me. But that just gave you a place to be able to get into this thing. And I just flat out missed it. That's it. I had an order at the open. It got missed by about 10 cents on the offer. And then after that, I pointed this out in the morning show. It just sat here after rejecting that little break, and I can't pull this over for some reason, but 33.50 then just sat there for all of 15 minutes as resistance before it eventually fell off. So there's basically no excuse. We talked about it. We liked the short. And of all the things that I was short this morning, this is one of the two that I didn't get into, which is just ridiculous, right? So I'm a bit frustrated by this for myself, but it's going to happen to you. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to execute a plan the way that you want. And this one continuing to fall. I don't really see much of a trade in it yet. And if you're long this long term, I still think it works. My daily chart not showing some of this, but I still think it works. It gets into the 20s. I think it's going to be a buy again, and maybe giving you an interesting opportunity if there is like a 3 or 4 day or a week-long pullback. I still like them for the year. Just obviously here, the guide is not going to help them. And in a strong market, when the rest of these names start to go, the metals coming back down on a poor guide felt like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I mean, the spiders today up 0.62, the S&P, the NASDAQ up 1.32, so, or 1.41, I guess. And I feel like, yeah, the switch is probably, I like metals. I'm into Nucor. Neil just talked about X, but I haven't traded anything in those today. I still think it's great for diversification. You could look at Cliffs. I mean, CLF has been a monster as well into the copper game. So, I mean, this is $27. Let's just see what this daily chart looks like. Cliffs, FCX, Freeport McMoran, another name there, what we're talking about, copper. I mean, look at Cliffs, straight to the upside and breaking out, to be quite frank, taking out this 26 and hanging out up here. So these names have really worked in this environment, and that's where, like I said, you got to be diversified to some extent. So I think if you pick Cliffs, FCX, Nucor, United Steel, I mean, there's a bunch of different names that you could pick out there. I just got into some Magna the other day. I don't even know how that's working. Let's see, MG right now. Oops, it's MGA. It's MG in Toronto. It's MG. Uh-oh, my chart just froze, I think. It's MG. We are having some issues because I just saw something happen that's never really happened before. Yeah, we got into Magna the other day, and you can see here today a nice little move to the upside for Magna. And then we got in off the good earnings report, so it's nice to see where that's sticking. And I just think you got to have diversity. You can't just hold all big cap tech and stuff like that. And I think United Steel and Nucor are good names, as well as all those other ones we just talked about.
I want to mention Mullen trying to get back above 3 here. This MULN continues to impress. Another day, another 300 million shares traded on MULN, just straight to the upside. We had some Yahoo Finance coverage yesterday that kicked off what appears to be a pretty impressive rally. But look at the volume down here. I mean, maintaining this impressive volume from yesterday again. $3 though, trying to hold right now, guys, for MULN.
So it was probably greedy wanting $2 support on Mullen today. Like it never gave you any chance to get in if you were looking for that kind of thing. There was a breakout that you maybe could have had. I'll still pull it back and show you yesterday. And the reason why I'm frustrated about this one as well is because if you remember, what was the buy? We were buying this on the dip at VWAP at 235, right? Like this level in here, which was the same level that we're getting out of our 250 short. And then when we get a chance at the open, like what level is it breaking? Like this is ridiculous. Like what level is it breaking out here on the open at about 9:45? It's just taking out this 235 level, the same thing from yesterday, the pre-market resistance as well, and then it goes off to the races. Like I always say, once you miss it, I'm not chasing the long. But it did get to $3, and I just played $3 twice. And it's still battling that $3 level. Now I can do this. It's still battling that $3 level back and forth. But the first time was a pretty good trade into 75s. The second time, it just couldn't go, man. I said this on the midday show that it was a little bit stronger. So I got most of it out here in the 90s because it just could not flush. And the buyers came in. So that maybe should have been a reversal 3, just try to scalp 10 to 15 cents. At this point, the volume is still pretty good. It hasn't, not a huge spike, but what made it special the time that it spiked into $3 before was the volume going into that move was as big at any point that it was all day long. So that's what I kind of would need to see for it to be a breakout through 3/4 is the same thing to happen there, guys. So if that does, fair enough. I moved over to Didi because like the Mullen short, okay, Didi. Fine, we tried it. But the Didi short, it's like, give me a break. Someone said in the midday show, it was like, oh, should we be shorting Didi? I was like, double top at $4, up 60%. Like at some point, the risk to reward is only in one direction. and the liquidity's through the roof. It's going to do 250,000 shares. Like everyday trade is probably the most crowded trade ever. That's why it hasn't flushed through VWAP, because everybody's getting out that just sort of cover on all these dips. And that's what day traders are probably doing with this thing. That's why it can't follow through. But it was just a safer short. Look at the difference in volume when it made its test to the double top. Right? Like Mullen was doing volume equivalent to the biggest spikes in the morning, whereas Didi was a fraction of that. So it wasn't as strong a move into the high. That's why you can be a little bit more confident in that short in front of it, and that's why I think it's working out there. So volume matters. You don't really see too much of anything on our charts, but you'll see volume on every one of our charts.
Yeah, and if you're following my trades here, that was, so a firm working out nicely here at the top. We shorted this is what I was talking about earlier, man. We got roasted on a firm, and we could talk about this for our frustrating stocks. Okay, we already have AMD coming on the board as well here. So, yeah, some nice moves here for a firm to the downside. But what I wanted to talk about was this. We actually hit a crazy short there on Rivian. It started to come down to the downside here, and then it was cracking lower. And then I had an order from before in case we decided to go long. I was going to stop myself out on a break of 44.50. Instead, we wound up getting shorter there. So it's going to show me short right now at 44.45, but that's not a great price. So we got out right away. Like we didn't, this is basically a keystroke error. We didn't mean to have this trade in there. So unfortunately, as soon as it popped in, I was like, oh God. And we got out right away because I was like, oh my God, how do I have this many shares? But, you know, that's Rivian. So if you do see it, I still think we go down. I mean, I didn't even have any bids out. So if so, then it would have, I wish I had a bid out. Then we would have got a wash trading and I wouldn't have got into that. But we'll hopefully, oh man, it just sucks because I have this wick down here. I'm actually going to clean this up, Brendan, and then I'll talk about Rivian. So let me clean this up and then we'll go back to the next board there. I didn't trade Mullen today.
Talk chip stocks again, because a lot of them pretty strong here today, including NVIDIA. I just pulled up NVIDIA because we finally cleared this 240, 245 area on the daily chart. Big day, 5.6%, holding at day highs as well. Some of the other ones not quite as strong, but I threw AMD on there because AMD also, guys, at pretty interesting levels here. Is there a trade as we head towards the close here?
Yeah, I mean, I could take this right now.
You're in the
that
trade,
I'm fixed up here. Yeah, I'm in this trade. So I don't know. Is there a trade into the close? I mean, is there a trade into every close? I think it's just a matter of, look, I think the market retraces here. All right. So with that being said, you know, do I want to pick it on AMD? No, I don't really have a reason why AMD should go down further than the market. I just talked about that. I thought there was a negative relationship, but that was more like yesterday. Yesterday, AMD was down, I believe, at the end of the day into a strong ticker, right? We had NASDAQ ripping, and you could see AMD really, it had a nice move, but only back to 116 off. Yeah, this is what I was talking about yesterday. You see the trend downside for AMD, although the market was nicely up. And then today kind of hits that 114 high again. But anyways, where's the trade right now? I'm going short off of these levels, and it just hasn't broken. So when it does break 113.30, which might happen soon, we're going to be out of this name. But we shorted it all the way up. And to be honest with you, I was nervous. These are two losing trades. So I'm still thinking we go to the downside, but I did take off 20% here thinking that, hey, maybe the short doesn't come in and then we just blow out to the top. And I just didn't want to be overexposed to the short side. So I believe AMD does have retracement capabilities. I mean, it was negative yesterday for a bit. We've already hit that high. If you go to a 20-minute chart here, these are the highs that we're talking about. A couple days ago was 116. Obviously, it's at 113 now. I'm not worried about that. It's just, have we topped out? And if we have, then maybe this is the top right here, 111, 113.30. So we'll hold out for that and see if we retrace back down to like, honestly, I don't think that there's a problem coming back to 112. It's just that's where we have to go, and that's also where the players dwell. So let's go over to Valeria right now and see what she's up to. Ms. V?
That's right, guys. 1 hour, 30 minutes left until the end of this trading week. And I remind you to go long on the like button. And also, we've got a super chat from I'm Investing. Thank you so much. Check out Zim, $17 dividend, up 700% since IPO, up 40% in 2022. Well, thank you so much, I'm Investing. Those $17 dividend is great, but I think it's a one-time event. Normally, it's around $2. But anyways, worth to take a look at ZIM, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the shipping name be up a ton. Yeah, do watch out for like special dividends. Like that can be a little bit deceiving at times. Like I've not looked at the stock, so I'm not going to pretend that I have. And I'm going to get to it because a lot of people, and I know we have a few things to run down, have asked about PIK. I will go over PIK. I see it. It's not really moving a ton, but I will go over it. If you look at what's actually happened on Zim today, you can sort of see the shelf rollover. And then you can see this. All I'm going to do is talk about the levels here because there is at least an interesting one. And it comes down to this 85, 85 and a quarter, right? Like what was resistance and then immediate support for 2 days breaking out of the high has turned into resistance again. And if you look at what's happening on the level 2 as well, like there just is this weird little shelf going on. Now I've pulled it up and there's nobody sitting on the offer at this price, so it's at 85 even. It just so happens that there's somebody selling here. So there's a chance that it's got to break if the volume can start to come in. Not a name I'm going to trade because I don't really see anything happening with it. And because we were just talking about AMD, Micron has the same thing going on. And the weird thing about that price is $79.50 is the exact price that I took, like I got out here at 79.50 when it was lagging the market and made a big move up, and it finally caught up because everything was screaming this morning. Nvidia was up like 10, 15 bucks, and AMD was going, and Micron was going down. And I sort of looked at it, so when it got to 78, I said, okay, this has got to be the turn. 77 has been support before. So I took it long when it bounced off 77, took the first consolidation out, and then just said, well, if it catches up, it should run to the highs. Got me out there, and then all of a sudden, you're seeing the same thing go on, like this weird barcoding on low volume at 79.50. Who knows? It's quad witching. Lots of things that are weird happen in the last hour, but someone just doesn't want it to go past that price, and that's what I'm noticing here. But thank you guys for the short. Thank you guys for the super chat as always. I didn't want to talk about PIK just because I know we haven't really gone over it at any point. I tried it a couple times successfully, but always take your stop out in a low float name. It stopped out in the morning. It should have been a reversal. That's about the third time you've heard me say that. Every single short that it was at a key level when I got out of would have been a monster reversal today. I didn't really take any of them. So that's going to be pie in my face. But at least I'm not exacerbating the situation, I think, in some of these. It's not doing anything right now. I think if it makes another run to 750, we can play off that level because it was much better than I thought at 750. I kept waiting for $8 to come around, and it never did. But the volume, again, dying out. There's nothing happening in the stock right now. There was a halt just now in MRNS. It did open back up. I didn't really catch any news. I know it didn't halt back. Did it open? No, it didn't open up. I thought it had opened up, but it looks like it's, unless it halted again. But halted since 2:30, so maybe it's going to open at 2:40, MRNS.
Yeah, watch out for that one. I'm just trying to fix this chart so I can show you one of my frustrating stocks of the day, and it's going to be Facebook. So if you're interested in that, we could talk about it quickly. And then look, so yesterday, this was... I don't know what I was doing there, actually. I was going to say I didn't trade it today. And look, the reason why it's frustrating is yesterday we saw Facebook just absolutely rip into the close. It was a monster, man. 202 into 208, a few dip buys, but just ripped up there and then stopped at 208, right? So it stopped at 208. So today, obviously, with the NASDAQ starting to pump a little bit here, right? What am I thinking, right? I should have gone back over to Facebook, and here's 208. And the funny thing is, I said, like, let's not take any breaks that early on, but it's not that early, man. I mean, it breaks it. I mean, sure, it breaks it. There's that first big candle. It's witching, so we know there's going to be some big action there. And then it breaks to 209, but this is the part. Like, I don't want to take those breaks. It's just that it came back and tested. And then look at these bottoms. Like, maybe I can zoom in a little bit more here. Yeah, that's good. This is 207.50. Like, I should have used these as the bottom, saying like 208's basically my level. It's giving me all these, and then it just like stair stepping. It just climbing. Like you didn't even have to get out. Maybe you get out some there at 210, but that's 210.50. You're still long 208. So that's 250. I feel like this was keystroke. I don't know what was going on there. And then obviously, oh yeah, I remember. I did this on the show. We took a profit, then we got out, right? We're flat on Facebook. And then it just takes off. We went long finally, and we get out because we're scared for some reason. And then it rips all the way to 213 and just keeps on going. So it's like, learn your lesson. And this is what it looks like the rest of the day. As you can see, I'll zoom back in a little bit. So it does have a couple dips, but there it is, back to 213. Could have gone long one more time. So like, instead of trying to chase some stocks, sometimes the best thing to do is understand what happened yesterday and then just be like, hey, if this is another strong day, I want to go back to a name that I know is relatively strong. Just like I said, maybe AMD is relatively weak. Look at Facebook, man. We knew that. And those of you that were watching the show yesterday know exactly what I'm saying. We were short Facebook. It just kept on going up, and eventually we took the L. And then, I mean, it's still a good day for us yesterday. It was a great day. Today's not great. But you could see Facebook right there kept on going relatively strong. That's why it's frustrating for me.
Are we good there, Lucas, or should we discuss? Okay, let's discuss another name here. Why not? We talked about the chips a little bit, guys. Maybe some of the big mega cap tech names worth a look here heading into the weekend. At the end of, as we were saying, a very positive week. The Apples and the Microsofts of the world not as active so far today.
So, I was going to talk Tesla, but you made a good point about Apple. But let's keep something in mind. Like when I saw my corp board, I'm just going to quickly do this for you guys. And again, this is not the entire market. This is just what I happen to be looking at. So I should sort it by what is up. Didi, Grom, STNE, but XPeng, Pinduoduo, Neo, SoFi, Affirm, it's all above 10%. Bob 9%, Beyond Meat up a bunch, T-Doc 7%, Square 7%, Rivian 7%. Like what you're noticing here is it's the beaten up names that have been leading the charge a little bit. So when you talk about something like an Apple, which has been a defensive name, like don't worry about the fact that it's, oh no, Apple's only up the same amount the market is. That's what's going to happen when it's held up so nicely, right? Like it's just been a defensive type of name. So it's just not going to give you the same kind of moves to the upside on these days. It'll be good. It'll just never be, it won't be gangbusters. Not on this type of a move. Now, conversely, because the name I wanted to talk about, and apologies for doing this, Tesla is somehow in the same bucket a little bit today. And I know it's a good 3% move, but given how strong this market has gone, I'm surprised. And not just because, like, I shorted that 900 level, and we talked about it in the morning show. But when it comes back in the afternoon and breaks 900 when the market's so strong, I kind of thought it would have a little bit of juice to it, especially after it's been lingering so long. And I'll pull up the 15-minute because that's disgusting, that daily chart. It's been lingering so long trying to break out from this range that it finally does it. And then where's your 900 move? It's just not going anywhere here. So maybe Tesla just has a little too much overhead. And we need to have a consolidation off of these levels. And it hasn't really had a consolidation since that bottom at 750. And I feel like that's what a few of these things have to do. Tesla definitely in that camp at this point.
What were we talking about?
Well, it was big cap tech.
Oh, big cap tech.
I kind of just went to Tesla.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've been talking about it already. All the big cap names that I've been looking at, Microsoft, Facebook, so on and so forth. Rivian here, we just hit the short again, down to the downside. Let's see if we can retrace back in. But realistically, if we're going to go big cap tech, man, the only name that I have on board right now, and I believe I should get something out, is AMD. We are short now. We're short this name. We just talked about shorting AMD off that 113.50. Our average price is 113.34. We didn't take any different shares. We're not doing anything funky here. Short, 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 short again. Now let's see if it drops. Look at the NASDAQ. There it is. Starting to get to the downside. Finally cracking that 50 period. But I asked myself the question, Sean, when you talk to yourself sometimes, you got to watch out for this 14,300. But look, if we don't break below here, then why are we really short, right? What is the reason to go short into the market, into the weekend, sorry? What is the reason, I just feel like there's more reasons to be short than there is to be long. And we're going to pick on AMD right now. And look, if it takes out that 113.50, it's at a key level, then we're gone. But let's see, will the market continue to move down? You still have Russia fears. You still have inflation on everyone's mind. The Fed, I believe, was hawkish. Although we called the rally, they still didn't say anything too dovish. So I don't know. I'm thinking the market retraces back to the downside, but we've been wrong before and quite a few times today. So let's go back over to Brendan and see what's up.
On that note, a great note to leave off at this point. We'll bring in Frank Caberna, Director of Product Content and Creative at the Small Exchange in Chicago, to discuss some of these moves that we've seen coming off the Fed this week. Obviously, a huge move for the overall market back to the upside, as we were saying, Frank. But some other products worth noting here as well. First of all, welcome back. Great to see you. Hope you had a good week. It's been an exciting one. What has really caught your attention, or maybe made you stop and think a little bit coming off of the Fed?
Yeah, this has been quite a wild week for interest rates. And I love that you all are talking about, hawkish speak, but stocks responding in a little bit of a dovish manner. Stocks trying to figure out what to do with what I would agree was a pretty hawkish FOMC. But what you can take as a direct takeaway is the movement in short-term interest rates. As we throw to our first slide here, looking at the small 2-year yield. Now, this is almost directly what the FOMC touches, Brendan, when they talk about we're hiking here today and we're looking at hiking more in the future. You see this market rise. This is the short-term U.S. Treasury yield future to look at in line with these FOMC meetings. And it's no coincidence, Brendan, that we post a new high for this futures market as the Fed comes out with one of their most hawkish meetings in years here. But you'll notice on that y-axis, Brendan, you've got a price of $20. That correlates to 2% in short-term rates here. They just hiked 25 basis points. They just hiked a quarter of 1%, if you will. The next move, the big trade, isn't what the Fed just did here on Wednesday. The big trade in terms of interest rate markets is going to be what happens next. And as we move on to the projections for what happens next to that Fed funds rate, you can see, once again, no coincidence, that the bulk of that projection for the end of this year is hovering around 200 basis points or 2% or $20 in that S2Y that we were just looking at. And so it's a really efficient market here, Brendan, priced in at around 2% in short-term rates for the next year of hikes from the Fed. The trade, the buying or selling around rates that you can do in that product, Brendan, is directly tied to what you think will happen next. Do you think that the Fed came out too hawkish this week? They were talking too much about inflation. I swear Fed Chair Powell must have used that I word 1,000,000 times. If you thought it was too much, which I'm kind of on the side of here, you can get short in that market, sell that 200 basis points and see that market work lower if they come out dovish or they don't end up hiking as much the rest of the year. A really straightforward trade in there. Because I agree with your other co-hosts here that the stock take off of some of this FOMC news or off of rate hiking environment can get kind of convoluted, so to speak. It moves back and forth. One minute they think that rate hikes are good for stocks, the next it's actually bad for them. You got a really direct bet here in the interest rate market with that S2I.
Yeah, it's an interesting look. And I mean, we had the PPI reading this week as well. It's worth noting that was actually, basically in line with expectations. So we're not seeing that, massive blowout number that everyone keeps saying is coming. I mean, it's still extremely high. Let's not kid ourselves, but possibly heading in the right direction, as you've said. This also means there's movement in the U.S. dollar. Coming off of this, we've seen a nice bounce back in the U.S. dollar over the end of yesterday and then into today. What are your thoughts on USD here?
Yeah, if we can throw to the platform that I have here in front of me, you've seen actually a pretty confused U.S. dollar move as well. Here you have the SFX product, which is the small U.S. dollar, and they're against euro, pound, Chinese renminbi is in there, Japanese yen, the major crosses, Brendan. You can see this dollar's traded back and forth in the last couple of days. There was an initial, as we tend to get, the Fed hikes. They're talking about more hikes, strength in that U.S. dollar, and then a big sell-off the next 24 hours off of that FOMC. To your point, Brendan, bounce back going into the end of the week here in U.S. dollar. But I love this trade for the back and forth around times like these. I was just cutting my teeth in trading at the Chicago Board of Trade the last time the Fed went from 0% to a hiking environment. And I think a lot of people tend to just right off the bat, gut feeling, be like, oh, stronger U.S. rates, stronger U.S. dollar, Brendan. But a lot of times we'll see what we've seen this week. Stronger U.S. rates. Oh, Bank of England is looking at hiking more than they had thought. The ECB looks like they might surprise people with some more hikes than they had thought. And it causes this US dollar to see bullishness sometimes on the FOMC's events, but then it gets walked back as they go, oh, they're raising rates across the globe, and maybe some of these crosses shouldn't be appreciating relative to one rate hike in the US or in England. And so I love just getting on both sides of this trade. I was selling US dollars after the event and was able to peel off a nice profit in the next 24 hours. That's a great back and forth trade to me that I don't have any long-term direction, Brendan, but if we see a screaming move higher through those highs or down back to the lows in US dollar for the last couple of months, I'm getting on the other side of it.
Let's jump over to great points. Let's jump over to crude oil because, I mean, another market that's just been, you were here last week, we were discussing the possibility of all-time highs coming in crude markets. You know, we get the reversal all the way back down through 100. We're kind of chopping around in or about that area. Obviously a very headline-driven market here, but give us your thoughts on crude oil. And maybe before you do that, we can, a couple of people asking just about the products and the platform, once again, of the small exchange. SMO, the one we're going to talk about here, the contract we're going to talk about here. If anybody wants more info on the small exchange products, maybe tell them where to find that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to smallexchange.com and you'll be able to see price data on all of our futures. We got 10 products, futures products, and got options on a couple of them here already and looking to add even more of that stuff, only year 2 of our futures exchange. But yeah, you've got the small crude oil futures, which we created, Brendan, to be smaller than the traditional CL futures. And we're finding, man, we might need to back this thing off to be even smaller, given all the volatility and price action to the upside. $100 crude, didn't see this coming when we made this product a few months ago. But yeah, this is a scenario whereby I think a lot of people, depending on the day, if crude oil's north of 100, it's like all bets are off. Crude could take off for 150 or 200. Holy cow, what's going to happen? And then if crude oil, as we've seen this week, crude oil closes below 100, a lot of the people come out like, oh, we're back to normal. It'll be trading where it normally does. A long-term mean in crude oil around $60, $70 per barrel. I tend to think that we're going to be hovering around 100 for a while here. Does that make me want to buy the hundreds that we're seeing here to end the week? No, not at all. But when that market gets up to, 105, 110, those upside extremes, Brendan, again, I'm trading that similar to the US dollar, a little bit of a mean reversion type of trade. And I'm buying crude if it gets down to 95, 90, just with the idea in mind that some of the fears that we're seeing in Russia, some of these crude oil supply demand issues that we're seeing all across the globe, Brendan, I don't think they're going to be quelled as quickly as people might have thought. And the last time we saw $100 crude, it stuck around there for years. When you talk about $100 crude in the 08, 09, and 2010 range, we were up there for a while. But what was really nice about that trade is we traded up above 100, back down below, up above 100 and below, in and out of that $100 price several times over the course of those years. So I think volatility going to stick in that market, not making any long-term directional trades, but I'm looking at, short options trades on top of the crude oil market, or trading directionally when it gets up, like I say, north of 110 or so, or down back to the 90 handle in there. And one last thing I would like to bring up, I don't know if you're interested to talk about this to potentially end the segment here, Brendan, is the chances of a yield curve inversion. I know we talked yields on the front end here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up something that's actually happening on what seems like a light Friday here, but in interest rates is getting a little bit crazy. If we go to the inversion slide in this presentation here, what you're looking at is the difference between the 10-year interest rate and the 2-year interest rate. This is the classic TUT spread. This is anybody who's traded interest rates. This is a go-to spread in that asset class. And Brendan, what you see is a price that's getting annihilated. That's the spread, the difference between 10 and 2-year US Treasury rates, getting down to zero right now at $2 there. That's 20 basis points of difference for 8 years of duration here in the yield curve. When that gets down to 0, that's a completely flat yield curve. If that goes negative, which it very well could go, Brendan, that's inversion in the yield curve. This is another interesting one to look at. Like I alluded to on the front end of the segment, I've got some short 2-year yields, but I've got some long 10 years against it, kind of betting on the other side of that inversion, an area that we're not in very frequently in the U.S. yield curve.
It's a very ominous chart, I guess is a good word to put it. Got to go all the way back to 2008 to see the last time that happened. So it's been a while, definitely. I mean, a different market, as we've been saying, this year than the past few years. Anyways, Frank, give us your take on, I mean, you know, headlines aside, what's going on over in Ukraine aside, what do we need to see here, I guess, going into next week to see a little bit more positive movement?
I mean, what I would need to see is essentially some normalization in that 2-year in some of these yields. In some of the markets that are at extremes, Brendan, yield curve, like we just talked about, commodities as well. If you see some of those extremes taken out, then I think you could see some bullishness, some more risk on action. But as we've got commodities continuing to freak people out, you've got wheat prices, you know, still near highs, crude oil prices still near highs. I think that fear from the commodity perspective is bleeding over into equity markets and causing equities they're not sinking, not any big crash or anything like that. But whether it's inflation or Russia, that fear is keeping people from picking that stock market back up and bringing it back close to those highs that we saw months ago, as you see tech names and everything else performing a little bit better going into the end of the week, but nowhere near those highs that we were at months ago. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fear in that commodity space or in that yield curve space. Like you say, perfect word, ominous signs across these different asset classes. And as those ominous signs continue here, then I think you're going to see people hesitant to buy equities.
Part is we get to do it all over again next week after the weekend. Obviously, Frank Caberna is Director of Product, Content, and Creative at the Small Exchange in Chicago. Have a great weekend, sir. We'll speak to you again on Monday.
Thanks, Brendan.
There we go, guys. Yeah, broad look there, obviously, but interesting takes heading or coming off of the Fed and heading into what is now, you know, a post-interest rate hike kind of world.
Yeah, I mean, Frank's dropping enough knowledge that he needs to go get himself like some deep dish, because like that's got to be tiring to drop that much information.
That's a lot of knowledge.
It's a lot of knowledge, but like I'm not joking about that, because if you've ever been to Chicago, you know what's up, right? Uno, deep dish. That's all you need. World famous. It's delicious. Maybe one day we'll be able to go back there. I love the city, but look, a lot has sort of been.
You can go back right now.
I know. Well,
as of April 1st, I know I'm traveling next week, but as of
Yeah.
April 1st, there's not even any more tests, man.
I know we're finally getting to that
Yeah.
point where it's like you can do it. I'm just, for myself, I doubt that Chicago's gonna be my next trip, because it'll be somewhere that I'll be taking my daughter. But maybe it will be, because I'd love to get back to Wrigley Field. I'm a big baseball guy, so Wrigley is amazing, and it's just there's so much to do. It's a fantastic and beautiful city. Actually, what they've done with their lakeshore is pretty much what Toronto should be doing. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. MRNS did happen, and I want to point a couple of things out. And it was hilarious because Tisha Perkins in the chat was like in the middle of telling me, hey, on MRNS, while it's halted, 1250 is a 200-day moving average, knowing full well, like the second it halted, when in doubt, zoom out. That was the first thing I was looking at, right? Like, where is the level up here? And you're going to see, like, this is about 12 and a quarter. You can see a big shelf at about $13. You have the 200 period at 1250, which all means to say, when it got up to those prices, that's where I was looking to fade it. Not at $11, not at $11.50. However, this stop out here, it went into like a halt state. So the halt band was getting triggered before 1250, which I never want to get trapped in that situation, because the gaps above your out, you're kind of screwed in that situation. So I get on the bid, there's liquidity there on the bid. You just can't hit the offer just to get out of the trade. And then, of course, I get filled, and it doesn't halt. With like 2 seconds to go in that 15-second window, it doesn't halt. I tried to get back in immediately. I couldn't until about 1190. Took it out in front of VWAP, and then the last out, I was telling you guys in the chat about that 1050 area I wanted to cover in front of it. It looks like it's bouncing again. I'd play off that 12.25 level again if it gets up there. But for now, one and done. Well, two and done because I got stopped out at that top on MRNS. Miss V?
Hey Neil, I've got 2 super chats from Isa Mohammed. Actually, a total of them is number 6. Super chat for the queen of the show, Miss V. Oh, it's so sweet. Thank you so much, Isa. You're making me blush and absolutely appreciate it so much. I hope you're having a wonderful day and wish you a beautiful weekend. And back to you guys.
6th super chat. So I'm getting like, thank you very much. Yeah, that's right. We need to get Ms. B on here a little bit more because I didn't find out, and we were really busy, and I was talking with IT, fixing a couple of things with PCs and trading. I didn't catch any of you, Valeria, talking about Tesla and whether you traded it today. So at some point, I'd like to hear about it. But I think I just got the call for Brendan.
Just going to mention GME, guys. GME on the way. I guess it is at day highs here. So a few people talking about that, but huge volume behind this as well. Now 10% for GameStop.
Yeah, squozing to the upside. Okay, okay, so Didi, just to talk about this, bang. Didi was a great trade for me today, but right now we're getting into some little, not some trouble, but a little bit of trouble here as it's come right back up to the upside. So all we did was reload. You know, we hit this one time here, and we actually tweeted this out today, that when Didi was sort of, I mean, now I got to get I don't have a stop order in, so I got to get this worked out here. But, you know, the high of the day on Didi is 409. I feel like that's a decent spot to get out if we take out this 410 right now on Didi, so we'll hold that. If it takes out 410, we're gone out of this one. But hey, man, this name just continues to go up. Another 60%, not another, but another name that's up to 60% here today. Like, some of these are just going crazy. We are into a new position short on Didi, and we took this right there, 402. So you're going to see that's the average price. Looks like it's going to blow to the upside. We're out of this if it does take out the high of the day, and that's 410. So we'll give it to like 14s, something like that. But that's right where we are right now, 407. It looks like it's taking it out.
I'm actually putting my stop right at 410. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
If it breaks 10, I'm out.
There's no point.
Let's talk buy the dip, shall we? Everyone's favorite trading strategy. We're going to dig in a little deeper today and talk a little bit about the exact criteria you want to look for if you are the type of trader that likes to buy the dip. Whether it's a long-term strategy or a swing type of idea, or whether you're on an intraday time frame, guys, what do we look for when we want to buy the dip?
So, like, obviously, when you're talking like the quick day trades and some of what we do, you're looking off of levels and that. But I think in this sort of market correction, bear market pullback, whatever you want to categorize it, I think you're thinking a little bit differently here because there's a few things you want to consider, right? Like, you know, we're raising rates this year, Fed's going to trim the balance sheet, and we got a question actually the last couple of days about this stock in particular, Adobe, and that's why I want to bring it up. Is you're also getting multiple contractions. So you want to start to consider not just when things reach levels, and I'm going to go back and show you, pandemic highs, pre-pandemic highs, I should say, at about 385 in Adobe, and then breaking out of that level, and then found support initially after that break at about 417. So when things got out of hand, the Fed dropped the rates and started just buying everything they could find, and the market started pumping, its support levels was around that $400. So when you get to this level, that's trigger number one. Are you getting to that kind of a significant historical level? But the other question you should be asking yourself here is, okay, look, I get it, Adobe, solid company, good products. Now, they're catching downgrades right now, and sometimes that can be an indication of some bottoms for other reasons. But you got to start thinking about what do they look like on a cost basis, because their 4P is now below 30, and what that tells me is as it gets cheaper, but not necessarily in that sweet target zone, get that bad boy in the 20s, that you start nibbling in. And what that means is, quite frankly, in that kind of a market, you don't know where the bottom is going to be. So you're not trying to, long term, you're not trying to call a bottom if you're trying to pick up a decent name or a quality name. No, you're just trying to find a good starting entry point. And I think that's what happens here. The first level of support at this 400 type of a thing, you get under that 30 PE, you understand that your real target zone, if it gets anywhere near like a 20, low 20s or high teens, you're going to love it. So you leave yourself some room, whether it's 10%, 20%, what your risk parameters are. But the key is if you're going long term, you're not buying, let's say at 420 or 450 to get out at 400. You're buying to hold for the longer term, and this is your starting point.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, look, I was going to say the same type of thing about nibbling in, and I think that's a great strategy. But I'm going to use something that's maybe even more basic than that. And honestly, what the topic is what's the best criteria to work for? I think value and nibbling in and buying names that are of higher quality is the right thing. But how about this? Just as simply put, do you know what the company does? You know, there's a lot of these companies out there like a Teladoc that I have right here. Look at this tank from $310 down to $40 or $50. Would you buy this dip? It's a nice move back up, right? Here it goes right back up to the upside, about to take out the 50 period. So if you're just looking at this, you might say, oh, this is a great name to buy. But is it? Do you understand what Teladoc does? Is it going to work in the new environment? Do you really expect it to go back up to 300 in a non-COVID environment? Do you understand what the company does? You know, and I think another example for that could be Peloton. You know, do your research, do some due diligence. Like, is Peloton going to get bought out? Forget about the move. Oh no, and here we go. Now the chart won't load, but here it comes. You know, look at this move, man, from 150 down to 20 bucks. Great pickup, right? Maybe. Are they selling bikes still? How is that subscription model working? Do you understand sort of catalysts that will get that back to the upside? Like, for example, Nike, right? As opposed to Teladoc, I think all of us can sit here and say, we understand the business model behind what Nike's trying to do. And maybe we understand why they've been hit here. Supply chain woes, you know, the dealings in China, COVID running through China right now again. So for me, in an world that opens back up, Nike, I understand the business and I understand where they can get their profits from, right? I may not be an analyst or I don't know exactly everything you need to know about Nike, but that's not the point, you know? I think you got to find names where you can catch a catalyst that you understand. Don't read but don't say, I'm going to buy ARK because it's all the way down. If you don't believe in the names that are held in some of these ETFs, then don't buy them. Understand the stock that you're getting invested in, and therefore you'll feel better. Because if Nike drops, at least I'll know why, and I'll have some areas of concern on the charts and things like that. A stock like Teladoc or UiPath or Palantir or any of these names, a SoFi that's been hit all the way down, what are the catalysts to go back up? So for me, a good criteria to buy some of these dips, you know, understand the name and understand what's going to treat this as your next winning trade.
Regardless of your time frame, you have to have a plan, guys. Make sure you have a plan and control your risk and understand that ranges always can expand. We've learned that, if not anything, this year. So there we go. A few great tips on how to buy the dip. This Redbox Entertainment coming back to the downside here in a big way. I just saw some sell volume coming back in. Failed at 3 there on that last retracement, but still 55%. So RDBX, there's a decent amount of noise in the background this afternoon, as you can hear. There's a large index change to come under an hour away, guys, from this S&P rebalance. We haven't discussed that yet today.
Yo.
It is witching, right? So like this is options expiration. It's a third Friday, but it's also the quarter end, right? So, you know, what you'll get is you'll get major indexes doing their rebalancing, and that'll cause some extra volatility. And you sort of see that play out. Well, obviously today, you're also rounding out a gigantic week. So, you know, I think at 350, we might see a little bit of fireworks, at least in terms of individual possible names that might be moving around a little bit. I did want to come back to Didi for a quick second there because it did make another run at the high. So you know, this has basically been the level to play, and I know it's not $4, but it's close enough. Like it's off the $4. It gets to like 408, 409 2 times, and it comes right back up. Wait for it to actually test the high before getting in, and the volume's still good. If this had been even bigger volume like it was on the first test, I probably wouldn't have taken the trade again because this is now the third time you're going to the well in a running market. But it's worked so well at this point that it's hard to get away from. And if it breaks 10, okay, fine. With slippage, might be 8 or 9 cents. But even if it just comes back to like 90s, like that's better than 1-to-1. Let alone if it gets back into these 80s where we're taking a bunch out. So I did reload here, and I want to point out I still have StoneCo, which as the market booms. The only good thing I will say about StoneCo is this short, because we just made fresh highs in the ESN and the NASDAQ. Like both these markets are going. but we're still stair-stepping back down in StoneCo. So it feels like it's not participating. It's already up 41%. So definitely a little bit of relative weakness, if you can even say that about a 41% stock. And that's why I'm now holding for below VWAP here. I moved my bid below, if only because it's not making that second push up with the market. And that means if we pull back from here, I should get more out of this. So I've pulled the bid back about 30 cents or so, but that's StoneCo, just the last of it. And for GameStop, which we were also looking at, I kind of joked, I was joking in the chat when I said 100 next. Half joking. I mean, 95, the next obvious level is going to be 100. It got to 97.5, so exactly halfway before making that turnaround. However, it is worth mentioning, not completely insignificant, right? Like if you pull up the beginning of, or so I guess the end of last week, that 98 level had a little bit of significance in the afternoon. So it was afternoon resistance last Friday, oddly enough. So the fact that it stalled out here a little bit might make some sense. You won't see me short it unless I see a big offer at $100 and I can play off that level, because that's just one of those trades. Like it's $100 on a bid, $100 on an ask, 150, 200. Sometimes those are so big, you take a shot at it for a nice little scalp trade. And scalping DWAC does mean like $1 or so.
I mean, AMD just blew up to the upside. The market is absolutely squozing here to this upside right now. We did get out of some of this. I mean, we got a nice 8 print there on Didi, which is the plan, man. I mean, our plan is 10. So hopefully Didi can crack back down and we'll make a hell of a lot of money. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Right now, a couple outs, one out at O's and one out at 2's there. So yeah, back and forth. We're going to wait to see what happens now with this position. And it's just an average price between here and here. So we got the 8s and we right away put a bid out and we got 4s almost right away, so that's why. And then it came in, and now we'll wait to see. I mean, I think a retracement at least back down here, but hey, everything is working, so I expect this to work to the upside as well. And there it goes, so we'll see. The market is off, man. Like, this has just been straight to the upside, and it's only 310, so there's a hell of a lot more room to go here to the upside. Like, this day is not even close to being over. We do have that market imbalance coming, and that's realistically, I mean, it's going to be too late, but like we should have, maybe planned to do this. And obviously, Arun's going to be busy, but just to see what his take is on the futures heading into a number like this, is it worth trading the futures now? Is it going to be influenced, obviously, by that market imbalance? And if so, is it the last 10 minutes? Is it affecting it right now? But yeah, this just keeps on going to the upside. Look at our Neo trade, man. This one is the one that's sleeping right now on the 1 minute. I'm debating just taking this trade right now. Neo to the upside, like it hasn't moved. It's only up 11%. I guess it's just all the other tech names that are working. So this to me, like, see, now I'm getting carried away again because like I would normally short this, but Neo's just not moving enough. Let's go over to Alibaba quickly. Go ahead. Yep.
Didi broke that 410.
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
There was a $500,000 on the offer, but keep in mind the stock has done 260 million shares of volume, so it chewed that up and spit it out. But that's where my stop is going to be. We got out at 410. It continues to run higher here as you see it go. I was asked if I'm getting back into MRNS. Oh, come on. Why is that? Oh, yeah, it's that NZ problem. Okay, am I getting back to MRNS? I still like those same levels. I'll just do this for you guys. There's my black chart. Hopefully you don't mind the black chart on my 3 minute. But it put a similar move here. I wasn't actually watching it I was watching Didi at the time to see if this was a real spike into that 1240 high, then that would be an almost must short off that last candle there at about 1170. I don't know where we're showing.
They're still showing me.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, so like the next level would have been this 1170 here if that was a real spike up at like 1225. I didn't see the spike up on MRNS, but this is a nice consolidation level that it's putting in. It's about the same price. I got 90s last time, but either way, I might have missed the opportunity when it spiked to 1225. I was watching Didi at the time.
All right, I mean, we got busted out of our AMD trade. As that here, we'll review that. And actually, you know what? AMD is still fine. Like we were able to take the money out. Like we noticed that this was just not going down, and then we did take our last little piece out there at 66. So not a winning trade, but we were short a couple times in here at 50, as you guys can see, and then just got out at 66 there. And some of these takes were 30s. Our best takes were 25. So the AMD trade, it's not going to work. But that is what we're trying to do right now. Affirm to the downside, and this is going to be another name here where I got to start putting some bids out because, like, this is going down while this market is still trying to make new highs. So I think we should take advantage of this. We haven't had too much luck. This is a firm earlier. We got absolutely smoked on this. Actually, some of these retracements were fine, but it did take out that 39.50 there, and that was really, these last dig-ins there hurt because it's 39 all the way up, and then we didn't get them out at all. So, you know, it was early starter, but then we've just been sort of respecting these tops of 41, and it's been working, and now we're trying to break lower. So we're into the 30s here on a firm, AFRM. I'm going to, this is a new NASDAQ name, I'm going to put a bid right now at 35 and see if we can't get that. Sitting right here at 35, we'll see if we can get that bid. Meanwhile, here we are, like, just willing to just short Facebook. Like, I talked about getting smoked on this yesterday, but, you know, I guess, like my dog, like he doesn't, or she has no idea what time it is. Like, you could leave for 10 minutes and then come back and she'll act as if you've been gone for a day or what. I mean, I've never left her for a day, but, you know, gone for a day. And I feel like Facebook is like, I just talked about this thing ripping all afternoon yesterday, and here I am short into the beginning of the afternoon right now. So we'll see what happens. But again, those market imbalances are coming, and I feel like people are going to sell. If you've been long this quarter and you've had that bump up now, it's been a rough quarter for many funds out there. I just feel like they're not putting in buy orders into the end of the day. But, you know, we'll see, especially after NASDAQ being up 13 or 15% this week alone. You think that people are going to buy the close? You know, my bet is going to be no. But, you know, again, we've been wrong today, that's for sure. And there it is, a nice little firm take. We just got that bid there at 35. So wow, okay, now it goes back up to 44. It's just dimes here, but that's a nice little win for us, as you've seen a lot of these shorts. We are holding NEO long, but it's not moving. So I think I'm just going to get out of this trade just because I have bigger fish to fry, obviously. So we're going to get out of NEO right now. We're going to cheer on our Facebook, which is trying to make it down to the downside. We do have a bid right here ahead of the 50 period on Facebook. So that's 214.40 or so. We'll see if we can take that 40 cents on the first bit, but that's what I'm trying to do right now with all of these names.
So quick one, I just got into Micron. Remember I kind of showed you that it had this weird thing going on at 79.50 where it was barcoding off that level. When the market made a fresh high, oh yeah, the chart just literally froze on me. That's so frustrating. That chart just froze, so I'm going to try and do this. I'm gonna throw it up on my black chart. It just is what it is, guys. It's gonna be a heck of a lot easier. Throw it for you. So it barcoded off that 79.50. It finally broke out from that level when the market took a new high. And if you like the black charts, you're getting your wish. So when it consolidated here, I just said, okay, we're gonna jump into the long. And I'm just trying it out. Like, there was somebody holding the stock at that price artificially for whatever reason. So when it breaks out and consolidates above with the market running, I'm just going to go with the long in front of it. It'll be a tight stop because Micron has been weak all day. When it fell this morning, remember, the market was just booming. So I don't want to give this one too much room, but when I see a level like this go and the market's screaming, Micron played catch up and was fantastic. If it can play catch up here, I'm thinking it should at least get to this 80 level, if not to the 80.50. And so apologies for the charts there. I don't have executions on the charts that I watch for myself on my other screen, so I'll get the other one back up for you. But Micron, new long position. Still have the StoneCo short, though.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing some people asking me about different positions, like, and honestly, so we just got out of NEO, so that was a good one. We'll go bang on NEO. NEO's like a big time stock for me today, guys. Like this is why it was the trade of the day. It's switching it up, taking the long, and really just, you know, learning from our mistake, unlike some of the other names that we've been trading that I'm not super proud about, including AMD, which we made a lot of money on AMD, but gave it back, man, trying to be too cute here into the end of the day. And I feel like I'm doing the same thing now with Facebook as it's starting to rip up. I do have another short offer coming, at least I thought I did, into Facebook. And I'm just trying to use this day's high as our out. So as Facebook starts to rip up here, I want to get one more trade in on this, and we'll just short the same amount of shares that we have now. We're short at 83. We're going to use the same amount of shares now to get O's. Oh man, as if it just went. I thought I had an O tick there. I guess I didn't. We're going to get O's short, and then look, we take this out, man. The day's high on Facebook, we're gone, and we'll just forget about it. And I don't know if we'll reverse long or not, but I do believe in this name to the short side, and I'm just going to stick with it. And like I said, I feel like the NASDAQ sells off, but I just said that 2 seconds ago, and we just ticked out new highs. So, you know, we could be wrong, but again, I'm going to Oh, it's if you make your bed, you must lie in it, or something like that, is what I was talking about before. And you know, I've already sort of picked this direction. If it goes up, we lose. If it goes down, we win. Honestly, life of a day trader, like, it is what it is.
Yep.
And that's why we have right now a little bit of this Boeing still on board. This was a great trade off the open. We talked about that new contract they got. We got filled at 190 early. And I was just holding this all day in case the NASDAQ did this, thinking that Boeing would just, you know, be up here somewhere, and it's not. So actually, if I could take back my most frustrating stock of the day, it's because I got this, like, there we go. It would be Boeing, because here's the take, right? And then it was like 20 minutes later, it was at its high. And then meanwhile, the market is now at session highs. So why is Boeing not up here? Like, this is frustrating. We held the long, and now it's starting to work. So now it's starting to get up here. Let's target Boeing in here, like 192.50 or something like that for a Boeing trade. So that's what we'll do. We just got loaded up finally. Look at a firm working, like as if this is working as we're taking out day's high as well. A bunch of frustrating stocks. I feel like we have the right names. It's just they're not like doing what I thought they would do at the time. So, oh man, a little bit frustrating here for a firm as now it's tanking, as the market's doing this. Like, it's unbelievable. When the market wasn't doing much off the open, it was just back and forth. A firm just rips my face off. And right now it's like, okay, you know, hold my beer. We're going downside and you're getting out of your short. Meanwhile, averaging into names like Facebook, that's taking out the day's high. So, hey, it is. And I'm not going to say it. I hate that saying, but here goes Facebook right back up to the upside, getting ready to take out the day's high.
So it looks like, and I'm watching this on the on my other chart, that MRNS. It looks like that really didn't, like that wick I saw on my other chart, my 3-minute. That's a bad print up above 12. It looks like it did not get there. So I probably did not miss out on this opportunity. If it had gone up to 12 even, I think I should have been in it. And clearly it didn't happen. But it is rolling over. I just find that, yes, I like that level, but it didn't quite get to where I wanted to short. So like that's pretty much it. I could have taken the rollover at 75. At that point, I wasn't exactly sure. I thought there was a wick off top there, and I was going to give it a chance to go again. Like I said about Micron, the first level out is going to be at that 80 level. But I want to keep something in perspective, because I saw someone in the chat, and I got to shout them out for this. And I apologize because I missed the name. It was a couple people going back and forth about the overhead resistance on Is it better if I show? Yeah, I'll show you on the 15-minute chart. This is what Micron's been looking at. And I said about this not shorting Micron earlier on in the day when it got to those highs, and like I did later, but you know I should have done it right away. Is look at the overhead resistance. This is what I'm talking about for some of these names not yet breaking out. Like, Micron's not breaking out truly until it gets out of this channel. Sure, you can play this channel in either direction since it's made that bottom, and I'm talking about 76, 77 into this 80 to 81. It gets through there fine. But if it can't break this, like, where do you think it's going next? If it breaks upside, there's plenty of room. But if it breaks down and this market starts to sell off, like, this is going right back to 60, you know, maybe the high 60s, those low 70s. And you sort of converse that with some of these other names which are breaking out a little bit stronger and reaching that next level up that might be pressing, you know, into 2 weeks ago, those tops. You know, we're still looking at last week's highs for Micron, and that's why I should have been shorting it when it got to that top. I've only been looking. I looked at the long this morning because it was just one of those market was ripping, why isn't it going? And it was at that support level, but there was some obvious reasons to be shorting Micron that I will not ignore on Monday. Brennan?
Smart there, and I just was like, oh, I'm going to get out of a FERB. So we still have a very, very small piece left, but at least I was noticing that, like, hey, why is this going down? So we got another piece out there at 35 as it just ripping up to 50, so that's not so bad. And again, guys, like, this is why I'm holding on to this Facebook, not because of that wick. What's wrong with my mic?
It's fine.
Mic is completely on and everything should be fine. But, okay, oh, they didn't hear Brendan at all. That was the problem.
Oh, okay.
Brendan's mic. See, I always get blamed for stuff because Brendan
just
never does anything wrong.
That's my bad.
And that's the thing. No, it's nobody's bad. Okay, so that's that. All right, Didi starting to go. It just went up to 20. We took a piece out. We did go a little long there on the break, but we did lose on Didi. Didi's a positive name for me today, so all is well. I mean, you know, this is the point. Like when Neil and I, and again, I want to say shout out to everybody out there. Mike Crehan, everybody that's been here for a while. Sam, Steve G, all the members that have been here forever. Thank you so much, man. I'm 30,000 Twitter followers. We're approaching 300,000 subscribers now. So I say a big thank you to everybody out there. But this is the whole point about trading, right? And it's like some days it's going to work. Yeah. Oh, what's up? Yeah, Matthew, what's up, man? How's it going? Hey, good, man. Yeah, it's nice to see some traders back in the building here. So shout out to Matthew. Matthew, how long have you been trading? In your 40 years, 30 years, 20 years?
30?
Total. 20 years. Yeah, wow, amazing. So I was just going to say that we have a wide, and what I was getting at is that we have a bunch of new traders here that, you've seen on Trader Brad's show. And then part of Day Trade the World, we have guys here like you and I, Neil. 20 plus years.
Don't say that. You can't see all my.
I'm 20 years. You're what? 18?
I've been here for like a few months.
Come on, man. Yeah, but anyways, what we're getting at here is just that trading is for everybody, and it's great to see. I get sidetracked easily, obviously, as I'm holding like tons of shares. See, what am I even doing? Okay, what I was getting at though was this Didi trade. So this is why we're still up on Didi, even though it takes out the high of the day, and my positions were only short, right? And it's just like when you get short into here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was on
my hit here, guys, was 402, 403, right? That's where we first got short. And then look at some of these takes. 385, 370, 380. Like, these are 20, 30 cent wins. When we're wrong right here about just what happened right now, like, look where we got short. We're short here 02s plus 08. What was the average price? It was 0650, something like that. So you take a little bit of profit because we didn't think it was actually going back to the downside. We're watching the futures, right? And then the out here, on the out is 11s. So we take like a 6 or 7 cent hit on the last reload, right? And I think that's what's important. And then we take a little bit long there and take a little bit out. But the point of what I was getting at here, this is how stocks can remain positive even though you're wrong. I have a bunch of them that just aren't like this today. But in a stock like Didi, I think that's what you always have to keep in consideration. Never let that last trade be like your last trade, if you know what I'm saying. So Didi with a nice little move to the upside here, and we're still able to be positive because of the ratio.
Actually, that's a point that I say to a lot of traders. It's like when you're considering risk, you never want to put your career at jeopardy. It's different in the prop floor a little bit because you're trading firms' money. When you're talking as a risk manager, like, ask yourself for some trades, because sometimes you do want to put. It's like, that's the one, I absolutely love it, but it's not always worth everything. And so you want to make sure you live to fight another day, because the truth of the matter is opportunities come in waves, and the market's been great for volatility. But if you're not alive, or you're not there to be able to trade, or you don't have anything left in your, arrows in your quiver, or whatever phrase you want to use there, then you're just not going to be able to take advantage of it. So you have to have some risk management. And sort of with that, pointing out, we just crossed the 2% mark, or maybe we did a minute ago, on the NASDAQ, while the ES, you're talking 1% still, but 44.5 there for the S&P futures. Strong move. Hopefully this is going to take us to 80 on Micron. That's what I'm looking for. But I want to quickly say, it's 350 imbalances come out, it's quad witching, it's index rebalances. I don't intend on having any positions going into 350. I know I always say that, but this is not, like, even if it's in the money, I'm still going to want to just get out, because you don't want to get whipped around too much, and this is a bit of a different day for that. You don't want to get absolutely run over when those imbalances come out. So I'm not even doing trailing stops. I'll just be flat when we get to that 350 mark. Tesla here, it's wanted to come back to it for a quick second if it wants to load for me. It still cannot. This is in the context of ES doing this. You can kind of see it going a little bit parabolic. That's a 15-minute chart, by the way, compared to the 1 minute I'm showing you on Tesla. And it'd be the same thing if I pull up the NASDAQ. Yet it's just this slow grind. This is what I mean about Tesla not finding its way to a parabolic move in these later stages. And for those of you that are still watching the bigger runners, and I don't know that there's something percentage-wise which is stronger and doing as much volume as Didi. For whatever reason, and it's not, look, this is 420 on the chart. Like, I'm not just saying that because these guys are going to hit the 420 thing. But 420 after that 410 break, and now you're getting another double top. I'm not going to hunt for the short. For me was when it made that double top. Like, now, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, you can scalp that if you want, but it was much more significant at the levels that Sean and I were playing. And if it were to make another press higher, it would have to be this on the daily. It would have to be this 450. And that's the way I look at it. If you're going to go counter trend and make a scalp trade, which is all that's left with 30 minutes to go or 20 minutes to the imbalances, I'm only looking for quick ins and outs. So it's got to be a significant level. Otherwise, we can just be patient. StoneCo feels like it's going to be working because it cannot run with the market. We just went another parabolic move up.
Parabolic.
I love saying parabolic because I love saying parabolic and linear. Like, never short stocks that are going linear to the upside because there's no reason to get in. Parabolic means it can overextend. So I like that. But StoneCo still not moving. Look at it, not bounce. You're seeing the market still go. If there's any turn, this should work into VWAP or further than that. But again, still up against the clock. 350 is that limit.
Yeah, and again, thanks for joining us. If it's for the first time, Neil and I flat at the end of every single day, so we can't swing anything. I saw someone say, do you like the swing of Didi into 450? Yeah, but I mean, again, I didn't think I'd ever mention the words $3 in Didi ever again, and we did, and now Didi's at 420 right now. Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know why we keep saying that, but they only do it for you when you say it, so really? Don't worry about it. But I'll do this myself. There it is. I like the Batman one. I don't even have the 421 up here. Yeah, so right here. Okay, anyways, I don't know whether or not you think that swing is a good move or not. I mean, it's just going to go with, however the politics and everything takes us up. Like that 450, oh, I don't know if you guys can see. Maybe you can't hear me. Just zoom this up a little bit here. That 450 is right here. So, I mean, I love that level. That's a great level. Whoever picked that out, definitely been watching us, or you just read charts. I mean, it's right here. That's a sweet level. Like if we come in on Monday and I'm like, hey, Didi's near this 450, I probably do short it to begin with. But yeah, I've been shorting a lot of things today that hasn't worked out. So I like that 450. I think that's a good call. So congratulations for finding that. Okay, the next trade here that I want to talk about quickly is because I have it on. And I don't know if we're going to take out, you notice how it became like a Morgan here or something? Like everyone was talking like madmen. And then now all of a sudden, I had to look back, like, are people still
It's
here?
the 30-degree heat.
It's the 30-degree heat that's putting people down. And it's also focus time, right? And I think that makes sense. Like we're into this quad witching. It's the rebalancing, these dudes getting their stuff written down. Like even making, like I used to make, now we're on the show, but I used to write down all these names that we thought were getting rebalanced, or that, there's articles out there, you could pick and choose them. I mean, even if you guys Google like March, what's the day? March 18th, rebalancing 2022, you'll probably find some names that are gonna get rebalanced. I used to write them down, and then when they came out here on the imbalance locator, I'd be like, okay, where? Nope, wrong. Nope, there it is. That's okay, Fahad. Don't worry about it, bro. Yeah, anyways, we've already welcomed Fahad today. So if you do see a little bit of changing in our, because Lucas and Rob and Randy and everybody, Maggie even, these guys are experts. It's Fahad's first day. I think you're doing fantastic.
You should see that board. I could never do that.
Yeah, by the way, maybe we'll take a picture of that board. Like, I can't believe he's even switching already. But good job. Anyways, this is the imbalance locator. We're going to update this at 350, and they're going to see millions of shares on here, not like 500,000. You can notice this is all not live, but anyways, let's go back to live trading as we talk about that. And just an update on my Boeing trade, we break back down below 192, we're gone. So we break below 192 on Boeing, and we are out of there. So we're letting this flow to the upside here. There we go. Come on, Facebook. It's coming back down. So we take a piece out there as we approach the 50-period moving average. Man, these wicks. What's up with these dark pools today? Obviously on witching here, it seems like they're approaching a little faster, which I don't know if that logic makes any sense. But there we go. We just took a piece out as the futures are ripping right now. Facebook, we just took another piece out at 81. So that's how volatile this name is. Like literally 20 seconds ago, we got 81. Now it bumped up 30 pennies against that level. So here we go. Get ready for witching, man. There's only now 20 minutes away from 350 when all these numbers will come out. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to see the market going nuts. Some of these stocks are going to go haywire, and I just hope that it's Facebook to the downside. Maybe if someone finds one of those reports, you can let me know, because right now we're about to get clapped out of this.
Yeah, so I just got into something new here, Astra, which you might remember when they had their first launch that got delayed, and we were trading this one live, and then I was watching the YouTube of the actual flight. I saw a flash and then didn't short the stock in real time. Anyways, they just had a successful launch on Monday, and they reported earnings, and they're up 16%. However, like I said, only significant levels are good for me. This already put a capitulation off 475 earlier today. So as it grinds on low volume to that same price, you're going to see on the 15, there's nothing that significant, but it's just so far away from both VWAP and the breakout, that double top, there's at least some room for this to go here. That's the overextension, right? It's got that going for it. Went too far there. So all I'm looking for is a simple rollover, and it's basically a matter of time, right? You got about 15 minutes till imbalances come out. You're 5 cents, 6 cents from the high. Stop is in. If you ever see the stop, just to explain this one away, so my stop is at 76, but it'll show you where the limit price is, so you can actually tell that I'm crossing to I don't use market orders. I'm crossing to $4.85 there. That actually shows. So when 76 gets printed, my order goes out to 85 just to make sure I get liquidity. It doesn't mean I'm offering at that price. Green would mean a buy order. So I'm going to be bidding down around 60s, and then if it gets really going here, maybe it gets down into the 50 level. But Astra, not one that I traded at all today, but was looking for something that was at a top that made a little bit of sense to sit in for the last 10 to 15 minutes, because there's not a lot with the market screaming. And it's just not enough time or room, I think, for some of these buys to work at. If you're buying the top of this market, going into the last 15 minutes and witching, I don't want to be caught. It has to be short off the top of a level. Otherwise, something pulling back into support, or it gave me an entry like Micron did.
Thank you guys for all your nice talk on the chat about the shows and everything. Yeah, look, we're getting bigger and better. I mean, that's the whole point. Pretty soon, Pratt and Ms. V will be right beside us.
Yeah.
It will be sharing similar desks, similar views, everything. It's going to be really exciting. And then we have the traders behind us coming on the show, coming on the midday show, explaining their journeys and things like that. We don't bring them onto our show. You know, obviously we're busy. These are the market times. But during lunchtime, these traders don't mind having a seat and explaining to you their experiences as brand new traders. Yep. So that's part of the idea with the midday show, right? Prad's was just there a year and a half ago, and now, you know, he's on the show and talking up game with you guys and having some of those traders on. So we really do appreciate all that feedback, and you know, thank you so much for that, guys. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, short off the top into next week. I don't know, Joseph, is that what Neil was talking about?
Into next week?
Is that what Neil was talking about? I don't think we want to be...
I'll be flat in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to be holding anything overnight. So there we go. But all right, so we did reload Facebook a little bit at 19 and then got it out at 03 right there. But again, we are preparing for 215.50 takeoff here. It's already approaching. It's already taken out. I mean, every tick higher is the new day's high. So, you know, again, on Facebook here today, we're positive on it, but that's just because we're dancing around right now. Our position is not positive. We are short at 215 flat. I can hold this 50 cents against me. So again, this is how okay, we just got filled again somewhere. Oh, it just came back down. Here it goes. Like, it just filled us at O's there as we're starting to tank down. So like I was going to say, I could hold this 50 cents against me. So now that we're back into the money, let's just take another piece out, and now we can start to hold. So now we'll hold this move in case this is a flush into the market. This is what we're waiting for. Facebook, like I said, how fast? We were just negative on this name, not no more. And that was literally 20 seconds later. Facebook, here we go. Yes, sir. Okay. Now that we're 30 cents, 40 cents in the money here, we are how much in the money? Oh, just 35 cents. So it's not huge, but we're going to take another piece out here because, again, our stop is 215.50. So did we just get that out? No, we didn't. We were waiting at 67. There it is. There's our 67 fill. So now timber. Now we say let's go. Let's go to the downside of the market here. And sorry if you guys are short, long, whatever you are. I'm in this. I'm going to get out of Boeing now and just think that this market retraces down. So we're going to get out of Boeing. I'm not going to wait for 192. Let's get out of that one. And I wasn't sure what that call was for.
I know.
But we'll go to Brendan.
We were talking about some comments, positive comments coming from the Russian side now. Ukraine coming out saying a few things countering that, saying basically talks with Russia have been difficult and may last weeks, quote unquote. Resolution for the disputed regions topic in Russia continues, and Ukraine basically saying they still won't give up any territory. So Russia says one thing, Ukraine says something completely different, guys.
Go figure is the way I look at that one. It's just, and again, this is why it's good to watch the show, because you get the balance of Brendan, who, by the way, like I always joke around about having no broadcast experience because Sean and I just traded and ended up in this. But Brendan actually has experience with the news, and that's why he's so good and professional at it and gets it right. Like, not everybody always.
And we are not.
And not, well, I'm just saying. We get sidetracked easily. Like, you start talking shop as a trader, and then it's like it just keeps on going and going.
Brendan has like his own personal barber, basically. Like, I don't know if he lives next door or what, but like every day this guy is.
I think maybe he does it himself.
Like, he's just like lifting the.
I think maybe Brendan does his own hair, because it's just it's way too much that he actually has It's just too nice. So anyways, the market coming down, which is good for the Astra, which is already giving me my first target out, but not so much for the Micron. So we had the Micron long, just playing off that 79.50 level. It goes to first level, it's at 80s, and then we stop out when it flushes. And you can see, like, it just breaks that level pretty cleanly there. You're getting a real pullback going in imbalances. And this could get, like, that kind of a sell. I'll double check to see if Micron's supposed to be anything on the index for balancing. I don't think it is. But either way, the market finally starting to come back in here. StoneCo, which I expected was about to flush, because, I mean, why not, right? Like, the thing that couldn't go up when the market was running, why wouldn't it be breaking the shelf? So I go from sort of sitting behind VWAP to going to be sitting in front of VWAP. We got about 10 minutes until imbalances. I do want to be out of this. I'll probably have to get out in this consolidation if it doesn't make a move, but I am going to move my order up here a little bit. And if you're watching GameStop, I didn't get into it. I didn't get into that last short. I shorted it this morning, got stung. But I didn't get that last short at 97.5. It is now pulling right back in. So a lot of these names, just about everything I can see is pulling back a little bit. So if you have the shorts, they're working. But 350 is 350. I'm going to be flat at that time. Just double checking because out of the back of my mind, I remember Tesla was having some trouble running. So I would have expected to be back through 900. Like, I don't get, like, Tesla, no movement. I guess it's just glued to the 900 level today. That's just what seems like it's happening. It doesn't want to run away in either direction. With the market coming back in here, I'd have expected lack of breakout. You should be testing closer to VWAP, and maybe there'd be a bounce or a quick trade in Tesla. It's not moving at all. And if it ain't moving, with 10 minutes till 350, you don't want to be in it. You know, you should be thinking about where your exit point is. If you're in the money, fair enough. That's a different story. But if you're thinking about getting into it, it better be moving.
Yeah, look at this good call here. We'll hit a slap shot. Look, I made some good calls today. This is a good one on Boeing. We just take that final out there. And that was a $2 win, basically clean there on that Boeing trade, 192.20. We took it out. We just saved ourselves about 20 cents, 30 cents on that one. So that was a good out here as the market's starting to puke down a little bit here as we retest the 50 period. But what a strong day this has been, man. Up another 2%. Wow. The market just continues to go. But hey, we're Flush City. Facebook's not going to look that epic because we have all these stupid wicks that I'll try to fix, but this is a good trade for me. 320. Let me see if I can just get this wick out of there. Facebook's starting to go back down to the downside here, and I just want to get this out so we could see. That should be a 215.00 or so. Then we should make the chart now. It still doesn't make it look that better because we have that. But here we go back in. We just took another fill there at 214.50, right on 50 on the knot. We just put a bid there. That was what it was. It's actually 51. And then now we'll see if we can retest the downside here into a market that seems to be failing. Prad just put on here, so I guess again, and I always say this because it's financial juice and has nothing to do with us, but he's saying it's 3.3 billion with a B to the sell side. So maybe that's what started this market, but again, it is quad witching. It's the third Friday. It's the end of the a quarter today, so that's hence why. And you're going to get some spicy action into the close. So we're going to hold Facebook a little bit. If it takes out the high, it takes out the high. We can get out of here. But I think maybe one more out if we come back down into here, because right now, you see just how fast that goes right back up? It just went 50 cents in 10 seconds. Like, I wasn't even, you know, we just talked about me getting out, and then now I look back and it's 40 cents higher. So this is going to be real spicy into the close, guys. I mean, we're right here right now.
Actually, yeah, and I wasn't really trading Mullen off that $3 level, but if you were, you just saw it drop right into VWAP 3 into 280 on a big volume spike. So this is what starts to happen when you get into the end of the day. Like, I'm not going to call that a rug pull, but you can start to see these extreme moves. Profit taking will come in there. So someone in the chat saying something about afraid of Mullen pulling an offering. That is one thing to consider, and maybe we don't talk about that enough when talking about like good support levels for swings on these multi-day plays. Like, always keep in mind, like, a lot of these sort of cheaper names, they often will have the ability to throw an offering at you in the aftermarket or in the pre-market. Oddly enough, they do it sometimes when the market is open. I don't think that makes any sense, but they do it sometimes, and that can be your other point of risk. It's not always all about the levels. Like, you do have that risk of an offering coming through, and the next thing you know, you're back at $1.50, and there's not much you can do about it. Your stop order is not any good to you sometimes, depending on your broker and pre-market, post-market, that kind of a thing. I'm still in Astra. I am going to have to get out of StoneCo. I really just thought it was about to make a move. It started to roll over. The market was starting to come back down. It's just not happening here. So in the next 5 minutes, I'll have to cover. But we are going first to Miss V.
Hey guys, it's going to be an exciting close, and before the fun begins, please make sure you like this video. I want to wish you a great weekend in advance again, and team, go long on the like button. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. And I want to point out a comment, and this is not to we always compliment Brendan, but anyways, Guy at LAC says, Brendan has total journalistic ethics, which is a bonus with his trading expertise. Day Trade the World is hopefully signed into a lifetime contract. Yeah, we actually chain Brendan to that chair. He's not allowed to get up. He doesn't take breaks. He doesn't take time off. So that's how valuable it can be. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to name names, but there was a couple of weeks ago, I want to say, there were comments coming out of the Fed.
Yeah.
I think it was when he was in front of, I think Powell was actually in front of Congress. And somebody on Twitter actually had a word wrong.
Was it zero hedge?
He's made mistakes. They've made mistakes before. This time it wasn't. So that's why I don't want, if it was them, I would just say it was them. But this was somebody else who I actually think was reputable. But they got a word wrong. And I actually made a trade off of it. And it was it was ridiculous. And actually the market went the other way. It was a quick little stop out. And Brendan, 30 seconds later, had it right. And that's the thing. It is more important to have it correct than to be first. And we're in this whole world where it's get it out there, social media, make sure you get the news first because everyone wants to be that. But in this game, when you're trading, you want to make sure you've got the news right. Is the story what makes sense? And if it doesn't make sense, let's wait. Let's not say anything until we can either confirm it or until it does. And that can be important. And that's what's cool about having someone like that on the show and on our floor, realistically, as well. So we don't take it for granted around here, believe me. That's what's so cool about the team, is that we all have different perspectives, different levels of experience, but we all are traders at heart, and we try to bring that experience to you guys on a daily basis. And I just want to quickly, it's weird. I don't know if we've talked enough about some of the Chinese names. I know we've mentioned Baba and Didi a little bit here. I had an early trade in Baba. That's not why I'm coming over to it. I just wanted to quickly show, Baba is holding up. And again, you're up 8% on the session, but look at where you're getting to on the daily chart. This level, this 110, 111, where it reversed at. This is a monster. Look at the support that Baba had, and look at what happened when it rolled away from it. These are the levels that are getting approached here after it just bottomed at 70. So if you're not looking at this 110, 111 area on Alibaba next week, then I'm not sure what you're doing, because another break from here could easily be $10, and a failure from here is back down to 100. So it's a gorgeous level to play off of, and Alibaba is almost certainly going to still be sitting there I shouldn't say that, but hopefully still sitting there come Monday.
So I see somebody on the chat, and that's what we're doing. Thanks, man. You noticed the watch. Yeah, it's the Breitling today. So it's not the Rolex. We can see if we can, because I got scared now because people talking about me getting robbed in Miami.
Just walk with the room.
But
he's not there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Okay, let's go. We just did what I was looking at the chat for was actually the fact that we were talking about, someone asked, should I cover, what's up, Dinesh? Yeah, I did cover some of a firm right now. I have a small piece left, and it's about 10% or so left of, but the problem is I averaged in so much here, but I still do have a small piece left. It's not huge, so we'll wait to see where that goes with only now 3 minutes to go before these imbalances come out. We have been hitting Facebook to the downside. Let's check back in on AMD. And again, well, good. I mean, this is again, it's going to look like, oh my God, why did we go short? But we actually, made money on this trade until it broke that high and went right up to here. And again, maybe patience was key, but we never got up to the high there. So that was another name. One name that we forgot about today, or not we, I'm looking at this, is Ford. And again, I just didn't go over to it. It wasn't super spicy at all in the pre-market, but it's been a motor to the upside, man. It's just kept on going all afternoon. So this is another name that we'll look at on Monday, because look at Ford over the last day or two, man. I mean, we were down here to 15.50, and for Ford to make a $1.50 move back up to the upside, that's 10%, right, on 15.50, $1.50. So that's a big move just in 4 or 5 days for Ford. So I really like that play. And again, Ford is doing that thing that I talked about, where it is starting now, and maybe if I zoom in a little bit, it's starting now to get above. We still have to get to 18, so there's still $1 left to go. But it's trying to, and maybe it's trying to clear some of this last couple weeks, and that's just about a week and a half of damage that's been done, by the Ukraine talk and all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking that Ford's next step up is here in the 20s, and then you can make a decision. So I really like swinging Ford off that 1550 bottom. Just like we said, SoFi was a YOLO trade at that 1440. I mean, look where we are now. You're up to 981. Someone, and it might have been you, Dinesh, I'm not sure who it was, asked me yesterday into the close and said, hey, it's $9. They YOLO'd this thing at 840 or whatever it was. Did they take some out? And I said, yeah, you should take some out. And now today, to be up another 10%, yeah, take some more out. I mean, that's the whole point. If it's a YOLO trade, you don't take anything out. But at some point, there has to be an area where you start to ring that register, right? And so if it's a YOLO, man, wait. And I still think SoFi goes to 12 or 13, but that's on the best case scenario. And then just an update right here. We did take another piece out on Facebook. So Facebook comes right back into the 50 period, and we took a 78, I guess it was probably an 80 bid. So we take an 80 bid there again, cashing another 30 cents. So Facebook's a positive name for me today, man, and we just started it right now. So let's see if a downside move comes, Neil. Less than 1 minute.
Yeah, less than 1 minute till those imbalances come out. I'll take a quick swing before we get anywhere else, because Fred just saying dash short swing. I'll say this over and over again, and every time this gets asked, because there's setups for short trades on big movers all the time, but that's day trading. So I don't swing short. Don't do it. We're day traders here at heart. But I see what you're getting at. There's nothing wrong with these levels. It's the same thing with Alibaba. 106, 50 period as well. You've come from 70 to 106 and overextended a little bit. So I get the whole sentiment. And I understand, I was talking about Avis as well, sort of the same kind of a notion at that $300 level. So you can see those start to work out. And I had it yesterday and it worked, and then it didn't work. And then I didn't get it today off 300. So they can start to work. As a day trader, I wouldn't just swing it waiting for the move down. I'd usually be looking to take that day trade. So that's how we play those levels. It's a good level that it's at right now. It is up a heck of a lot in just a couple of weeks, but it's a different story holding short overnight. And here comes the balance.
Shoot, here comes, oh man, let's call it up right now. There it is. Wow, they are coming out to the big side right now. I don't know if it's up, down, around, what this is right now, but it is looking like it's mixed. But look at the multiple millions and millions and millions of shares.
And millions.
And millions. And we get burned because we get out right now of our Facebook. It flips us long, and right now we are just going nuts right here. Facebook went all the way to 216.20. You see what I'm talking about on these imbalances, man? This is just crazy times that we're living in, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, to be honest with you. But there we go to the upside. We do get hit out of that trade. That's what it is, but we did get flipped long because we had too many shares. So now we'll wait to see. I don't necessarily like this long, but here we go. Here's all the imbalances right now. Multiple millions and millions of shares. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that look what the NASDAQ just did. Took out some of these recent highs. So you may want to flip over to your longs. But again, I'm not getting a good read on what the total number is. So that's what it is. But just so you know, that's the kind of spiciness that we're talking about as Facebook just went to 216.20.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing. It feels like it's mostly it's to the sell side. Obviously, if you can aggregate that, but some of the big ones that came out there, and well, it's still on DoorDash. Come on, flip to Twitter. Twitter came out at 5 million on imbalance, but you'll see it actually didn't move at all.
Right.
And it doesn't look just because there's a big imbalance, it doesn't mean it has to go. They can be moved. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. YMM, which led that board, on the other hand, really quick. So that led the board with an 8 million buy imbalance, and it runs 40 cents instantaneously, right into a resistance. So sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it doesn't. The stocks that I was in didn't do a thing, so getting out of them was probably premature, but I like to play it. Actually, that's not true. StoneCo made a small move to the upside, so it was probably a tiny buy imbalance, but I decided to get out in the consolidation anyways. It just makes sense. You just take your trade. Your fundamentals, or forget about fundamentals, your technicals don't matter in that moment. Levels won't get respected until maybe after the breakout or after the volume event here. So I'm not really seeing anything too gigantic. I mean, I'm noticing PayPal, PaySafe, 4 million buys. So a couple of fintech names look like they have big bids. Didi is 5 million, but one thing you have to keep in context is Didi has done 300 million shares, and Didi has a 5 million share imbalance. So I can tell you how much that's worth. It ain't worth jack. If Didi had done 10 million shares, that'd be a big imbalance. 300 million, 5 million into 300 million is nothing.
Okay, so I'm going to go short into Facebook one more time, and only because obviously that wick up there was just due to the imbalance. I'm still thinking that, you know, the market has now absorbed these imbalances, and it doesn't, I mean, look, this is what I mean, man. It looks like a big nothing burger, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, some of these names are starting to move, but like Neil just highlighted Twitter, and I'm highlighting the market right now, not really wanting to do anything. So we'll take it down to the downside here. I'm just going to get out of this Affirm. It did pop up. We still are 50 cents in the money on this, so I think getting out of Affirm is probably the right thing to do, and then we'll just really just worry about our Facebook. There, we'll put something on the bid and see if we get hit. I guess we got to cross up on Affirm right now. Let's just cross up and take it out. There it is. We got those outs anyways at 60. So here we go, 62. So out on Affirm. We'll just worry about this Facebook trade. And then also, man, I mean, we could still continue to look at these imbalances to see what's on there. And Neil just talked about Didi. That's growing. Like, that buying balance is growing. Like, they've already paired off 70 million shares here of Didi. 62 million left. So there is 70 in total, but it's starting to go forward, a big buy imbalance, and that's
Apple actually moved down.
Doing much, yeah.
On its 2.4 million on Apple, we've seen that before, but it is actually moving here. And I guess I didn't really scroll down enough. I was looking at everything that was like 3 million and above there, and I didn't really catch Apple. So good luck for you guys, because it did make a move there. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. We've seen 2 million into Apple do something. Today, I wouldn't have thought it would be too gigantic. I mentioned the fintech names. I didn't really show you either one of PayPal. It wants to load up quickly. PayPal, which also made a bounce, and PaySafe. That's the difference. PayPal, $100 stock with a 4 million buy-in balance, whereas PSFE, which is PaySafe, load. PaySafe into the same thing goes about 7 cents, but both large buy-in balances, relatively speaking. So you did see some spikes. Just everything that I was kind of looking at didn't really have anything. It's like, I was looking at the wrong stocks. Apple gave you something. PayPal, PaySafe that I got to too late, had a big move there. But it's so hard to catch those, realistically. But that's part of the reason why you don't always want to be in the trade going into it. I want to quickly show you guys, if you're looking at Mullen, someone had asked about it here. It's T asking how I did on Mullen. I'm up on the stock, but each time I shorted it, it never gave the full follow through. You can see, like, it only gave you 273 to 275, and this time it gave you 3 to 290, and even got stopped out in the last 25% of it. So, unfortunately, there was never a big opportunity on that short, but there were some pot shots to be had at $3, and that level's still in play for next week.
Wow, the market just continues to blow up here. We are long Facebook through these 50 levels, so let's see if we can take 30 cents long finally on Facebook right here. It's starting to go, man. Wow, this market is spicy. I mean, to say the least. I mean, we've talked about this market for a little bit here. We'll take a little piece out there, and now we'll hold the rest and see if it just wants to continue to the upside. It's just been a wild ride, man. I mean, really, Facebook's been manageable until the imbalances came out, and since the imbalances came out, forget about those down wicks. Obviously, that's not happening. But we just got a 215.04 bid, and then we just got an offer of 215.80. So in literally the same minute. I mean, back and forth. So watch out here as these stocks are starting to go. I'm just going to get out. Actually, I'm out of Facebook right now. I'm flat, as you can see. So it's going to be a red day for me, which is fine. It's, I was not expecting this kind of a move up, but you can see the market has taken off. I did want to look at that Didi again, down to 413. Check, like, where is it? I mean, where's Didi? Didi was big here. Now it's starting to pair off, so I don't even see it anymore. The big one to watch, I guess, we hit a good one yesterday with Twitter. So, like, if that stays, maybe we can watch that. But look at Verizon. Whoops. Look at Verizon, man. Verizon with a big sell. We're on Verizon. Verizon with a big sell here. And look what's happened to Verizon. It is getting absolutely destroyed on this big sell imbalance. Like 14 million shares they still have to do on Verizon to the downside. So look at this name, just getting absolutely clapped on a big imbalance. HBQ with a big buy imbalance. Where is it? Where does the stock go away? There it is. This is just bouncing around. Let's see what HBQ is doing on a buy imbalance. I'm expecting, look at that. Boom, to the upside on a big buy and bounce for HBQ. So, yeah, man, Twitter's still a big sell, so we'll see what happens on this trade.
I know a lot of people are watching Tesla break out, and I was just trying to find it. And the reason I couldn't find Tesla on the imbalance, I swear I just saw it at 14,000 shares to sell. So, I mean, literally nothing, and it's not a buy and bounce, but it is running with the market. So, again, it finally broke out. A little bit of a surprise that it did nothing all afternoon to finally break out here at the end of the day, and it had nothing to do with the imbalances because it was a tiny one to sell. So it looks like it is trying to close higher. At this point, I saw Micron that continued to flush, so good thing we got out of it. But the weakness is still there in Micron as it continues to be relatively weak to those chip names, down 2% in a NASDAQ up 2 market in Micron. So that overhead resistance on that 15-minute chart seems to matter a heck of a lot for this name.
I don't know, man. I mean, we're trying to get shorter here into Twitter. We do have some shares here. So, we are short now, Twitter. You could, 38.18. And again, it's just, we can just keep this here. There's Twitter right there. So you can watch it as it's now starting to fall down a little bit. We'll take out a piece here. Why not at 03s if we can get it? So now Twitter's completely falling down here into the rest of this market. How much time do we have left? Only 2 minutes. So we'll take another piece here on Twitter as it's flushing. I talked about this yesterday, like maybe taking pieces out as the market starts to flush back in. But Twitter right now, a couple reloads to the downside. And we saw the trade yesterday. So we're just going to watch it here on the imbalances. This is going to be Twitter. So maybe I'll move this down so you can see the chart. There it is, Twitter. So you'll be able to see some of these go through. We're just going to wait for it. It's still 4 million shares to sell. So as long as it doesn't pair off, we should have a decent winner here, making moves to the downside here as witching is almost over, man. There's only a minute and a half left in this market.
Yeah, and looks like, Didi's doing still nothing, but it is at that high of the day. So, Didi holding up pretty well. Doesn't seem to care about the imbalances. If you're watching, GameStop was the other one. That flushed all the way back into VWAP at 90s. And then DWAC, which had the late news, that actually made a nice little bounce off 70 even. So it looks like DWAC is going to try to hold up 5%. Again, remember we talked about it was just a rumor about the hold, don't hold over the weekend, but either way, we'll see what happens because it should be a big one on Monday morning, one way or the other. DWAC's going to be in play. Got about 35 seconds to go. We're going to have a treat for you as always. We got to do this bigger and better every single day, and we're back with both Tony and Miss V ringing the bell. I know it's a lot of fun when we do it this way, so they're going to be up there. The camera doesn't need to be on me. When Tony's already dancing, they should already be there. There it is.
He's the tiger, man.
He's dancing. Miss V's going to drop some tunes like she always does, but it's been a fun week. Now we're rounding into the end of the day here, guys, with 10 seconds to go. Let's ring that bell in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
And that is the end of the day. We are still waiting for our Twitter print here on this trade. So Twitter just completely falls down here into the close. So we have the order out. We're going to take a market on close trade here for Twitter, and we're just going to find out what happens. So here we go. Twitter to the downside. So far, so good. It went all the way to 65 there on that. There's still... Actually, the Twitter is gone now, I think, on the imbalance. It's still a small sell. So there it is. My prediction is we probably print... probably somewhere in the 90s, like 91, 92, but wow, we should have cleaned some out down there at 65. What a good day it was, man. We were not expecting these kind of bids today, but they come out. That's witching for you. You've seen the action on Verizon. You saw some of the moves that could have. You saw me get smoked on that Facebook trade to the upside. So we'll just see where Twitter trades. But for now, so I don't get in, let's go over to Brendan and see how the market's finished.
Positive day. Obviously, our quote board guys has already left for the weekend, so we'll just tell you 1.18 for the S&P and the Nasdaq, up more than 2 to end the week, but nicely positive, as we said. So 4 days in a row to wrap up the what has been a pretty impressively positive week. As we said, almost back to the 50 now, 50-period moving average on the Nasdaq.
Yeah, look, you cannot be anything but impressed by this market. And I think one of the things about the week is it would have been easy to think that you'd have profit taking on Friday. And it's been the exact opposite. If anything, it was squeeze central because the strongest names were the most beat up names. And you see it run into the close. So it's been a great one. Of course, I have to say it before you end the show here, I got to say, go Spartans.
Yeah.
It's not the best squad you've sent to the dance, but I still love you guys.
Yeah, big thanks to everybody today. Thanks to the guys out behind us, and thanks for them coming on the big show as well. A big thank you to Lucas. A big thank you to Maggie. Shout out to Fahad today. He pretty much crushed it on his first day. So we can't be disappointed with that. Welcome to the team, my friend. Biz V, have a great weekend as well. I don't know if Prad's not at his desk there. They're all celebrating behind us, or at least waiting for there he is. What's up, Trader Prad? Waiting for this Twitter print. So Prad and I both short Twitter at roughly the same price here. So hopefully it comes back down to the downside. And it prints 77s. So there's the Twitter trade. It's a big one. Cash rules everything around us, guys. Get that money, and it's a good day. So there it is, a nice little short. There's the print on Twitter, and there is the print. It's like 12 million shares, and I'll show it to you right here on the screen before we leave. There it is, oops, I just tried to show it to you, and it's gone. There it is right there, comes at 402, 11 million shares or so coming on one print there from the NYSE, followed by a bunch of dark pools copycatting that print. So there it is to the downside, a nice little move for Twitter. Congratulations, Trader Pratt, and anyone that had that. Your boy had that. That's back-to-back days for Twitter. A good day, man. Brendan, any plans this weekend?
Lots, actually. We are heading up north this weekend.
Oh,
Sean,
beauty.
how about you?
No, not much. We're getting ready to rock and roll for our trip next week. And then the kids, I'm coaching curling again. On Sunday, they have hockey on Saturday. Lots of stuff happening. Neil?
It's a quiet weekend. We went up to my in-laws and we're doing the whole, getting the syrup tapped and all that stuff, so it was busy. We're going to make it quiet. I hopefully get to watch some basketball. If you saw me give a look like that, a buddy just messaged me saying Deshaun Watson went to the Browns.
Oh, did he? That's good for Nick Chubb. I got Nick Chubb. I think that's good for him. Finally, Baker is gone, obviously. Where does Baker go now? The team that needs a quarterback are the Colts. So maybe Baker Mayfield goes.
Chose the Browns?
Colts? Well, what's wrong with the Browns?
That's what you deserve, Deshaun.
I like the Browns. I think they're okay.
I hate to interrupt, guys, but it's...
No. We'll see.
It's 4:05.
But anyways, okay, that's good.
Oh, sorry, Brennan.
Let's wrap this thing up. We're getting well over the time here. 4:04. Thank you for joining us today. More football talk to come on Monday. Have a great weekend and hope your bracket does not get busted. Ciao.
Bye.